You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty.
Good morning, good morning.
Shortwave, what's going on, man?
Not a whole heck of a lot.
Thanks for standing in today as the co-host.
Absolutely.
Greatly appreciate that. So what's up, man? Have you been keeping a close eye on things with regards to Monero? I know you always are. I imagine you are.
Oh, absolutely. I've been looking at Haveno, and the Monero price this week has been absolutely insane. I think it's actually a little bit overvalued right now, or at least that's what it seems. We'll have to ask.
Don't say that. Give it a chance, man. Come on.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think everything's pumping now. I'm sure we'll get into it with Bawdy, but I'm seeing a lot of other things that are definitely way more overpriced than Monero, right? I mean, compared to everything else that's out there.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, nice to see. Nice to see we're finally getting a little quote unquote pump, perhaps bringing us back to where we should be. I see a lot of people talking about how Monero, survived, right? It's thriving despite being delisted. We're officially, made it out of those clouds, I'd say, right?
Oh, yeah. I think we've still got a little bit of headwind with the, September 2nd or something like that, when Binance starts selling off what Monero is left on their platform and converting it to USDC or something. But other than that, I think we've got pretty clear.
Oh, is that what's going on? I don't think I've been listening to Bawdy close enough then. Is that the next level of attack? They'll be selling their remaining Monero?
I think so. I want to say it's September 2nd through March something or something like that. We'll have to ask Bawdy when he gets on, but I want to say that's what I heard.
Okay. We got 30 people watching right now. Guys, like and share, spread the word. Definitely, you retweet this. Grow it, man. Get it to your friends. Get it around to people who have not yet really discovered Monero. We want to get some noobs in here. It seems like every week though we're getting a new person to jump on stage with their new Monero story. So that's always nice to see. Let's keep that going. Let's tap into the momentum of the growing price. I know we don't talk about price a lot. We try to shy away from pumping anything. But the fact is, when number goes up, interest inevitably does go up, right? It's a good way to bring people in. You bring them in with the price, and then hopefully they get addicted to the concepts and the real reasons why they should be excited about Monero.
Come for the price, stay for the fundamentals.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Anything else we should bring up in the intro? I guess. Oh, Monerotopia. Let me bring that up. Hold up. Let me throw that on screen here. Monerotopia conference. Hold up. Here we go. So yeah, guys, we talk about it all the time on this show. You should know about it already. Monerotopia is happening November 14th through the 17th in Mexico City, the same venue as last year. There was a brief period of time we were considering doing it in Argentina. We went down there. It wasn't working out. So we are back in Mexico, the same venue, which was an amazing venue last year. It was an amazing experience last year. And that's part of the reason why we decided to pivot back to Mexico City, just because we felt like we could build on top of what was already successful, make it bigger and better. And that is, in fact, what is happening. We now are making it 4 days instead of 2.5 days. It's now basically 3.5, 4 days of talks every day. We have a main stage. We have an auxiliary stage where the remote speakers will be speaking. We're going to have a whole section of the conference dedicated to talks in Spanish. Excuse me. I just went for a run outside, so I'm still clearing my lungs here. So that should be cool. We did have at least one talk in Spanish last year, maybe two. Andres gave like a Monero 101, and it was a packed house when he gave it in the Dome. So we're expanding on that. The idea of Monerotopia isn't just to all talk to each other, right? To just talk to the people that already know about Monero, to just have an echo chamber. Rather, the idea is to have an open venue where people can come in and learn about Monero. We want to bring in the noobs. And obviously, since we'll be in Mexico City, where everybody is Spanish speaking, where there's millions, tens of millions of people. I think there's like 13, or I don't even know how many people live in Mexico City. Many millions. It's I'm starting to sound like Trump. It's a hub. Really, there's a lot of potential there, a lot we could tap into. So we want to give talks in Spanish. So we're going to dedicate a whole portion of the conference to that. So Andres is going to be helping to run that. We have Escuela Bitcoin. He's going to be assisting with that. He's done some amazing work with teaching people about Bitcoin and Monero. I met him for the first time actually in Argentina at La BitConf, and he's the guy that basically convinced me to go to Formosa to check it out. I had known that Monero was breaking out there, and I had interest, but it was like it was a big trip to even get there from Buenos Aires. And Escuela BTC was like, "You got to go. You must go." And I bought my plane ticket, and I met him up there. He actually took a bus up there. Because he was living up there. He moved it. He was the first outside resident of Monero Town. He moved to Monero Town because he saw what was happening there. I think he's since moved on or moved back to where he's from. But he was living there for a period and educating people there about Monero. So he's a super cool dude. We are helping him get down to Mexico City. He's going to be helping us out with the conference, running the Spanish portion of that. So really want to emphasize that to anybody listening right now that wants to help out. The best thing you can do is, I guess, number one, buy a ticket if you're thinking of coming. The sooner you buy it, the better that is for us. We haven't seen a lot of ticket sales. I'm going to be honest with you. We've seen momentum in every other aspect of this conference. We have lots of speakers. We're doing really well with sponsors, a lot of momentum, and we're going to be adding more speakers too. I don't know if you guys caught last year's, but I mean, we had a ton of content. We are going to match that. If not, I'm probably exceed that, especially now with the Spanish component. But yeah, if you want to help, buy a ticket. If you can't attend, spread the word. If you want to assist in any way, reach out to us. The best way is monerotopia@protonmail.com so we can keep track of things. We get inundated with messages all the time from whatever on X, on Telegram, on Sig. The only way we can keep track of stuff is if you email us, give it a solid subject line, and give your pitch on how you want to participate in any way, and we'll get you involved. If you're genuine and you want to help in some way, we will 100% get you involved in the conference. Another announcement to make with regards to the conference is we have Vlad Costilla. Vlad has become quite popular these days. I feel like he's leading the I want to say anti-Bitcoin maximalist movement, but he still considers himself a Bitcoin maximalist. I think he's just trying to redefine what a Bitcoin maximalist is. I just had a great conversation with him, but he's gained a lot of interest in privacy coins. He sees that as lacking in Bitcoin. He really aligns with the Monero community and the principles of the Monero community. He believes in crypto for its digital cash purposes. He had a great interview with Roger Ver. That was kind of his breakout. He's been around for a very long time. He's actually one of the best Fluffy Pony interviews ever was done by Vlad. I think it was 2018 when he first started podcasting. You could go back and check that out. It's interesting to take a ride down memory lane. So yeah, he's a super cool dude, and he's well versed in a lot of cryptos. He recently started stacking privacy coins, Monero being obviously his top choice. So he's getting very well versed in the privacy coin scene. He was always big into like privacy tech for Bitcoin, but obviously with what happened with Samurai and Wasabi Wallet, he's kind of since moved on to Monero and has very strong interest in Monero. When I interviewed him a day or two ago, he was actually stacking Monero live on air. I think he bought 10 Monero while we were talking online live. He was converting Bitcoin into Monero live on air. He bought 10 Monero. He also got a lot of tips. We were using our super chat feature, which might as well announce that right now. Again, for anybody who wants to send us a super chat during the show, I'm going to put it in the comments. It's xmrchat.com/Monero talk.
Now, you will have to read those when they come in.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be reading those. For those of you who don't know Shortwave, he's Shortwave. You're not completely blind, right? But how would you describe it?
Technically, I'm legally blind, but I just say that I'm blind because it's just easier that way, so that people get the idea without me having to go into big detail about what it is I can and cannot see.
And you've done an amazing job not allowing that to slow you down, man. You're extremely productive person, especially here in the Monero space. So yeah, xmrchat.com/Monero talk. Go to that URL, and it's super easy to send us a Monero super chat. If you can't figure it out, that means you probably have never used Monero in your life. If you've ever sent a Monero transaction at all, it's as easy as just doing that. There's no login, there's no sign up. You literally type in a message and send a Monero payment, and we'll receive the super chat live here on air. And any super chats I receive, I will display on the screen. So yeah, Vlad, I pledged to give him all super chats that were received during that live stream, and he made something like almost like half a Monero in super chats alone.
That's nice.
Which is, right? That is super cool. Very exciting. I mean, people were sending me, and we got a lot of them too. So very exciting to see that xmrchat.com is running smoothly. Anybody that runs a podcast out there that uses StreamYard, highly recommend you start using xmrchat.com. It's free, super easy to sign up and start using it. No fees taken except for the Monero transaction fees, so you keep all your tips. It's kind of a no-brainer. Anything else to say with regards to Monerotopia? Oh, Seth. We recently added Seth as a speaker. I don't think he's going to make it down in person, but he'll be speaking remotely. Andres, Chill, and Deverick, we're calling them workshop professors. They ran the workshop last year. They're going to be running what we're calling the hackathon this year. Haven't totally figured that out. If you guys, anybody wants to help out with that, once again, reach out, monerotopia@protonmail.com. Adoption Alley, we're always adding new people up here, new businesses. Reach out if you want us to put your business up there. We want to showcase as many Monero-related businesses as possible. Some people donate a little bit for it to put it up there, but we'll take what you can get, right? What we can get. So if you're like just starting up, it's a startup, you don't really have any revenue. If we think it's like a legit business and it's Monero related, it's helping the Monero ecosystem, we'll add it to Adoption Alley, basically for a nominal thing. Or even as we'll ask you to maybe just return the favor and help spread Monerotopia, and we'll put you up there. That's what Monerotopia is all about, guys. It's not about this isn't like a Bitcoin conference where we're trying to make millions or thousands of dollars. We're literally just trying to run a successful event that doesn't leave money, with the main mission of spreading Monero and spreading the message of opting out. So trying to do that in a sustainable way. Media partners, we have Review up there. We'll add more. Anybody that wants to be added to that's kind of in crypto media, reach out. We'll talk about it. We're happy to put you up there if we think if you prove that you're legit. And I guess that's really all to say with regards to Monerotopia. Please just spread the word. Privacy tech projects, we got a bunch of them on here. Yeah, I think that's really the big news. I think I've been mentioning Cody Wilson in the past. Amir says he's coming, but I haven't heard from Cody himself, so not going to put him up there until we know for sure. The XMR chat link isn't in the description. I thought I just put it up there, no? The description of the video. I just put it in the comments, guys. It's xmrchat.com. It's super easy link to remember, and just /Monero talk. But thank you, Untraceable. We'll put it in the description. What else do I want to say? Oh, I do want to bring up Copamonero. The next game or set of games is coming up, I believe next weekend. Is it next weekend? Hold up, let's bring that up. Yeah, it's next weekend, and it's going to be the last 4 games of Copamonero until we hit the finals. So September 7th and 8th will be the next 4 games. So there'll be 2 on Saturday, September 7th, and 2 on Sunday. We have Xano playing Cake Wallet, XMR Bazaar playing Nodo, Bawdyanarchist playing Firo, Trocador playing Exelix. Please give that some love, guys. I mean, we put an amazing amount of effort into this. Alessandro in particular, and everybody that's helping him out in Monero Town. They're putting in a ton of effort into this. We funded it with our budget from the Monerotopia conference, and also a lot of people have been donating to the Kuno. I think I've mentioned in the past, anybody that donates to that Kuno, we put a third of that donation directly to increasing the Monero prize. So I'll bring up the Kuno here. All right, so I have to change that number on the website. So we're at 16 Monero. So a third of that goes directly to the Monero prize. Plus we started with a 10 Monero prize. So they're at something like 16 Monero, almost 17 Monero in winnings for the winning team. I really wanted to get that up to 50 Monero, make it something, almost kind of a little bit life-changing for this team. I mean, these guys that live in Formosa, that are playing soccer, none of them are wealthy by any means. This prize is going to mean a lot to them. They're going to get it directly. It's, this isn't some scam. The Monero is going to go to them directly, and they'll split it among the team members. It's going to mean a lot. And they're playing their heart outs for this, trying to win this. And most importantly, they're all learning about Monero as they do it. Monero Town is learning about it, and then all the surrounding towns are learning about it. We're trying to get local media to pick up on it. Actually, talking to Alessandro, I'm just going to be honest here for a minute. He's a little apprehensive about pushing it in the media because he's a little fearful about potentially there being some repercussions about what the things are political in this region that he's from. Obviously, we know Malay is a libertarian and should be completely, utterly aligned with what we're doing here with Copamonero. But there's regions of Argentina that are not exactly libertarian. So he's got to proceed slowly. We don't want him to get in trouble. We're obviously mostly concerned about his safety first, but I think naturally the word is getting out in Formosa. So we'll see what happens. So tune in and spread the word on that, guys. Spread the word on that. I see we have Schmidt tipped 25 cents in Monero. Privacy is right. If you're new here, don't hesitate to ask questions. Our community is here to help you learn about Monero and how to take control of your financial privacy. 100%, man. 100%. That's literally the reason why we started the show. It's a community-based show. We made it as open as we possibly can. Ask your question here in the chat, or even better yet, jump on viewers on stage at the end of the show. We'll bring you up. You can bring up whatever you want. We'll talk about it. As long as you're not trolling and being disruptive, we're open to any and all things. You come out here, you criticize Monero. You can tell us how it's a shit coin. But just make it a productive conversation. Who do we got here? Freedom Lover tipped $5. Love your show. Thank you, man. Very generous tip. I will say all tips that are received on, through XMR chat for the Monero Talk channel, Monerotopia channel. I'm putting all that just towards helping to fund xmrchat.com. Except when I had Vlad on, I gave him all the tips. We got another one. Prying Lantis tipped $1.69. Good afternoon. Here's my weekly Monero. Greatly appreciate that, man. Greatly appreciate that. It's working out well, guys. It's all coming together. It's all growing. But yeah, Copamonero, guys, spread it. Please do. We put a ton of work into it. They're out there on their own. They started Monero Town. I think it's kind of up to us, the community, to now have their back and to help them propel things forward. Shortwave, anything to add to my rants?
Yeah, we've got XMR Bazaar. Don't forget about XMR Bazaar, which now has over 600 items. By the way, now has over 600 listings.
Where does that kind of put us in relation to Monero Market? Just to get an idea.
Just a bit over half. I think it generally hovers between 12 and 1500. So just about half, maybe a little more.
Fantastic. And nothing against Monero Market. I love what they are doing too. Any efforts we can do to build out the Monero circular economy. I kind of had my own little vision here with what a Monero based peer-to-peer platform could be, and that's why I set out to build this with Anarchio. And it's doing very well. It's coming to fruition. A lot of aspects of it are really working well. I think the UX is fantastic. Where we can improve is basically making it open source, right? So that's always been the pledge, and we're 100% standing behind that. And there's absolutely no reason why we won't do that. The only reason why it's taking a little bit of time is because it's in Anarchio's hands, and we have to kind of wait for him to do it. His reluctance isn't that he doesn't want to open source things. He's an extremely principled individual who aligns with Monero more than anybody I've ever met. He literally lives off of it out of a need. He walks the walk. He doesn't just talk the talk. He's completely aligned with open source and FOSS and privacy tech. He lives by it. I mean, he only works from Tor. I've never communicated with him other than through essentially encrypted chat. So he's completely aligned with all these concepts. But out of his own, I don't know how to really correctly say this. Basically, he's ashamed of his code. He's his own worst enemy. He's constantly beating himself up, putting himself down. Anybody that's been in the chats will see that. He's an interesting fellow. He seems like a really good heart. He put a ton of effort into XMR Bazaar. He's just concerned that his code isn't professional enough, so he wants to keep cleaning it up. And so I'm just trying to get him to the point where he's okay with releasing it. So I think we're close to that. And the best thing that will come out of that is we'll be able to get other devs to start contributing and helping to improve XMR Bazaar. But it's 100% functional, working. It's very easy to create an account. A lot of people are using it and making transactions. Shortwave, I think you're probably like our power user, right? I think you might be our #1 power user. You tell us, does it work? Are you able to sell and buy things in XMR Bazaar?
The direct payments definitely work. I have not tried the escrow recently, but I know that the direct payment works. What I have decided to do is I personally have decided to change to Aurora General Store instead of using my own personal account, so that I can buy and sell personal things on my personal account, and then I've got like a business type account where I'm selling the home essentials, things like that.
Oh, you mean so you created a new profile, second profile that you're putting a lot of your stuff under, is what you're saying?
Yep, it's Aurora General Store, capital A, capital G, and capital S, Aurora General Store, and that's where you'll find all of your pots and pans and soaps and things like that.
Let's see if I put in soap. Does anything pop up? Oh, here we go. We have Aurora. So here we go. Dove Sensitive Skin Gentle Beauty Bar Soap. Beautiful. Most everybody needs and uses soap. Why not use Monero to purchase your soap? I love what you're doing here. So basically, Shortwave is providing like everyday things, the things that you would find in a general store that you need to live off of, and selling them for Monero. Here he is. Here's his store. Oil of peppermint. He's got a garlic press, manual coffee grinder, a knife holder, silverware set, soap, coffee maker, toaster. I love it, man. Definitely all utility-based items that most people use on a daily basis.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Like you need these things, and the fact that you can't get them from Monero is why I decided to put them up for Monero.
I recommend people that have never really purchased something with Monero, go on to XMR Bazaar and try it out. Buy something you need. Everybody, like I said, everybody needs a bar of soap, whatever. Give it a shot. Just so you go through the experience, you'll feel it. You'll feel what it's like to live free and opt out. You send a untraceable payment to whoever you're purchasing your item from. Everything's encrypted. Nobody knows you bought it unless you go out and you tell people on the internet, whatever. Obviously, we can't prevent people learning that way. But other than that, I mean, it's just between you and the seller. Nobody knows. And it's empowering when you make a purchase directly with Monero on XMR Chat. About how many sales have you made?
So far 7, I think it is. On Aurora, I haven't made any yet, but on my personal profile, Shortwave, I had made 7 before I decided to switch.
Fantastic. Oh, I did want to bring up, I think we'll bring it up in the news. Somebody posted, actually, I think we have now 2 cars for sale, used cars for sale on XMR Bazaar. That's and like...
There's a couple of motorcycles too. But
Are there?
Yeah, I saw a couple of motorcycles come up. I haven't looked recently, but I know that I did see them, and they might still be there.
Oh shit! Oh my! There we go. How much is this being sold for? 15 XMR. Do we know where this is coming out of? Not much of a description.
The one I thought I saw was in Ibiderte.
Oh, this is in Chile. Okay. Okay, so I'd have to fly down there, purchase it, and drive it back.
There you go.
Would be a hell of a Monero story.
That'd be a road trip.
There was a famous book, right, about somebody on a motorcycle driving through South America. It was like Motorcycle Diaries or something. I forget what it is. Yeah, don't put it past me, man. That's actually sounds like a dream come true. It's got 11,000 kilometers on it. If this were local to me in New York, I would definitely pull the trigger on this.
Oh, that would be cool.
I would definitely pull the trigger on this.
It's really
so anybody
cool
that's
to be able to buy vehicles from Monero.
Yes. Anybody that's looking to sell something like this, that's in the tri-state area, let's say, please put it up. Beautiful, man. Fantastic. Looks like I missed a chat here. Freedom. Did I say Freedom Lover? Oh yeah, love your show. Tip $5. Very generous tips too. Very generous. What do we got here? We have XMR Bazaar user tip 25 cents. Please enable filtering listings by location. I want to browse listings in the EU, for example, but I can't. Putting EU in search bar doesn't work. 100%. We got to really improve our search and filtering. I mean, we do have by country. You know what he's talking about, Shortwave? Like if
I think there's a box that says like city and stuff like that off to the right, but I won't swear.
Yeah, if I put like Germany, it shows. Also, we also have like the map. The map is very helpful for that.
I like the map.
A lot of people don't know where the map. I mean, it's right on the front page. If you go to View Map, you will see it. I think we need to have it on the general search page. Did he put it here too on the search listings? It has where you could put the search. You could filter by city and country. Maybe the filter's just not working well. If I put United States, a bunch of stuff pops up. What was his comment exactly? He's saying he wants to be able to filter by.
He said he wanted to be able to look at the EU, so that would be an economic area instead of like just Germany or just England or just Norway or whatever. He said he wanted to look at the EU, and I don't know how that would work.
Either way, we need to improve the search. Like if I put, like, I don't know, Poland. Well, Poland probably doesn't have anything. Oh, Poland. Is this actually in Poland? Let's see. Crypto steel. And why is it? Does it say? Just says EU. Location Poland. Yeah. So it does. The search is working pretty well. By the way, this is a great product. Anybody doesn't know. So this is a way to store your key. Crypto steel. So somebody's selling a crypto steel. It's a way to very reliable keep your key stored by essentially you use these little pre-made steel discs, and you can spell out the the words of your seed and store it on this little cylindrical steel piece. All of it's made of steel, so obviously it's fireproof. Very cool. How much is he selling this for? 89 euros. So if you're looking for a way to write down your mnemonic seed and you want to do it in a safe way, purchase your crypto steel right here on XMR Bazaar. So yeah, I mean the search is working okay, but yeah, I do love the map. The map is a fantastic feature, and it's beautiful to just kind of see and visualize and see things popping up.
And
if
it's like, if you're not too super concerned about your privacy, like obviously if you are concerned, don't do this. But otherwise, put your state, put your capital, put some big city maybe nearby you. You don't have to put your own city, but just kind of give an idea of where things are. So like you might say that you might say you're in Denver, or you might say you're in Los Angeles, when you're not, but that shows that there are items in California, or there are items in Colorado, or whatever.
Yeah, I was talking about it a show or two ago, just kind of an idea I came to mind, like, because I was traveling at the time, and I was in Sicily, and I was thinking, how nice would it be when you roll into a new place, a city, if you can find fellow Monero people, right? Like you said, you don't need to put your exact zip code, but if I were able to easily filter and find everybody on XMR Bazaar that's in the Sicily region, and send them a DM, or they can kind of mark themselves. Maybe we add some new feature where they want to be approachable as a local Monero person, as somebody in a city that's there, that's willing, that's saying, hey, yeah, I'm here to be approached. Please approach me. I would freaking love that. So anywhere you show up, you could easily find fellow Monero people. And that's really the resource at the end of the day, right? Monero is just a tool. It's just money. The people are really what matters, right? So if you can roll into a town and find one or two Monero people, or essentially find all the people in that area that are passionate about Monero, that are looking to opt out, from there you could figure everything out. Start talking to them, start making peer-to-peer transactions with them locally. They could help you find what you need. They could sell you things locally that they have for Monero. Next thing you know, you're paying them to crash on their couch, right, in Monero. Like who knows what can come of that? I don't know, Shortwave, what do you think of that concept?
Monero B&B, I like it.
Right, like, so you could already post Airbnbs here on XMR Bazaar, but I'm saying kind of like I want to add a feature that adds this element of connecting people in the real world that are looking for fellow Monero people. Obviously, in a way where you're not exposing your exact location, but just kind of letting everybody know, like, hey, you could reach out to me if you're in town. Neil has tipped $5, $5 closer to the separation of money and state. Thank you, Neil. That's very, very generous tip. Thank you so much. Did he tip twice? I think he may have accidentally tipped twice, or on purpose. Thank you again, Nihilist. XMR, am I just getting double tips here? Because this is the one. XMR users tipped again 25 cents, but I want to see all intern. I want to see all interns in EU, not just Germany or Poland. Imagine having to search all 50 states in the US individually for what you want. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
so-
I see what he's saying. That I think the map would be better for, because then you could just
Right.
zoom in on the EU region and start clicking around. But
Right.
I see what his idea is. I don't know how you
Right.
go about doing it though.
And yeah, on the map you could show all the listings, or you could just show the physical businesses. I also would like to add to this, in addition to listings and businesses, I would like to also add a check mark for physical businesses that are willing to provide change back in Monero. I think we spoke about that. So maybe we get that going, right? So not only physical businesses that accept Monero, but physical businesses that would be willing to give back change in Monero. So if you roll into a store, you give them a 20 to pay for water and a piece of gum, and you're supposed to get whatever $15 back in change. They're marking themselves as a store willing to provide you their change back in Monero. I could see that being a nice way to grow adoption, and it's another means of obtaining Monero. Another tip, can't keep up with these. Your mother tipped $1. Get XMR privately through decentralized exchanges on kycnot.me. No KYC, just pure privacy. Yeah, that's a great resource for seeing all the basically instant exchanges and exchanges that offer ways to obtain Monero without KYC. It's an excellent resource. That is the same one I'm thinking of, right? kycnot.me. Yes.
Yep, that's the one.
Yep. Thank you so much for that tip and that resource. It is an important one. Highly recommend people check that out. All right, so I've really dragged on this intro. Sorry about that. We will jump into the price report with Bawdy. Guys, like and share. We're at 200 live views. Please like and share. We have Seth for Privacy coming up at 12:30. So sorry for running so long on this intro. Bawdy, if you can try to get a hard stop at 12:30 so we can get Seth up here, because I think he's only available from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Without further ado, let me run the price report here. Bawdy, hope you're ready. We have a new sponsor, so enjoy the new intro, guys.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
I like that one. Very well done. Exolix is another instant exchange, fantastic service. I've only heard good things about them. We'll get them up on the show as well so people can ask them questions. But yeah, in short, they're another instant exchange. They offer very competitive fees, and they really understand the Monero community and their desire for privacy. So they provide their services in a way that's privacy preserving. I don't think they're known to ever do shotgun KYC. So they're supporting this show, which is fantastic. And we're supporting them. And they're also supporting the Monerotopia conference. So big thank you to Exolix, and we'll get them up here. Bawdy, what's going on, man?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I've seen Exolix I've seen them on Trocador. I probably used them a few times even. I'm not 100%, but I always remember, I think they've got like a B rating on there, which is pretty good. It's hard to find any exchanges that have an A rating on Trocador anymore.
Okay. Yeah, they're good people too. I met them numerous times. They came to Monerotopia last year. They were at MoneroCon this year. So I think that means something too. They're transparent. They're not some like nebulous thing that we don't know about. Know who's running it. So yeah, definitely, guys, check them out, and we'll get them up on the show as well, so people can ask their questions. But go ahead, Bawdy, take it away, because I've been rambling on, and I think we have a hard stop at 12:30, so we can get Seth up here because he only has a half hour.
Is it currently 11:30 right now?
It's currently 11:40.
11:40. So you just gave me permission to ramble on for like 50 minutes. That's what I heard. I
mean, that's pretty close to what you normally do, I think. How long?
I'm usually at 30 minutes. We'll chat it out like in the beginning, and then sometimes at the end, maybe we'll chat for like 20 minutes. But no, the price report's usually like 30 minutes.
Wait, hold on. Let me check the chat. When is he saying something between 12 and 1? I would be best, maybe 12 to 1. Or 12:30 to 1. Now he's saying see you at the top of the hour. Honestly, I'm not sure if he's coming on at 12. Let's assume 12:30.
Okay. Well,
all right. Yeah,
I can definitely be done.
I think now he's saying he's coming on at 12. So yeah, do your thing, man. Do your thing, and I'll jump in if I need to.
All right. Well, let's see here. We got the Monero chart in front of us. Some beautiful action here. Actually, we've got like 8 green candles in a row. Let's see. Is that 8?
Hold on.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We got to bring up your chart here. Where is it? I don't see it.
Oh, crap. Of course. No. Yeah, you're right. I've got the tab open. I just didn't share the screen yet. Oh, how's my volume? My volume okay?
Yeah, sound is good.
Yep, it's fine.
Okay, I should be sharing now.
Mm-hmm. I don't see anything on it. Just says. No, there's no other. Oh, here it is. My bad. Go ahead. Take it away.
Excellent. Yeah. So obviously we've had a lot of good action. I'm sure everyone has noticed. We're basically up for the past week. We're up about 16%. For a stable coin, that's pretty good to move 16%. An entire week. And I think that's, if I'm counting correctly, that is 8 green candles in a row. So that's pretty good. Obviously, we've broken out from the local resistance right there. And we are now at the top side of our literally like 3-year-long standard deviation boundaries here. I say boundary, right? It's not a hard boundary, but it's a visual reference for like statistically, where's the most likely place for to be trending or to be seeing support and resistance. So the other thing we could take a look at here is the volume. Wait a second, that's not volume. All right, here we go. This is Kraken volume. Maybe we should start looking at XLX volume and start looking at the XLX price instead of the Kraken price. But you can see it on here. We've got like five big candles of volume here on Kraken. So yeah, people are buying. Some entity and or people and or everybody are buying Monero right now. So it's a good thing that we're seeing the price respond with big volume, or that we're seeing a big price move with big volume at the same time. That does put a reasonably good plausibility that this is a stronger move that could actually be sustained. We could actually see ourselves finally moving to this upper boundary here and flirting with the 200 area. So another thing we haven't looked at since forever is the Z-scores. So down here, this is a number of different time frame Z-scores. Think of Z-scores kind of like RSI. They basically ask you how far away are you from the standard deviation? Or sorry, let me rephrase that. How many standard deviations are you away from the moving average? I know that's kind of a weird way to put it, but it centers everything around 0, and it's also how we look at multiple different assets with very diverse prices, how we can overlay them all together, which is what we do when we look at all the shitcoins. We'll do that later. Anyways, the thing I wanted to point out here is that so on longer time frames, which is the blue lines, so the dark, obviously there's the dark blue, which is the longest time frame, but the lighter blue and the green here, you'll notice that we're basically in an uptrend. And Z-scores can often be useful for telling you like how is the market trending in general. Because the way that Z-scores are calculated don't always have exactly the same trend as price. And sometimes the way that Z-scores diverge from the price action can give you a good picture of when a trend reversal is imminent. So you could kind of see that, and we really should have covered this for a long time ago, but you can see how lower lows were made on the Z-score as they were made on the price, which is just kind of like a point of confirmation that says, hey, We've got positive upward momentum here. And at the moment, yeah, I mean, this chart is starting to look like something that wants to break out finally. We say that we got to be careful, right? We still have nefarious forces. We have nefarious headwinds out there. Don't underestimate your enemy. You do that to your own peril. What am I talking about here? We're talking about Binance. All right. So September 1st, all the way to March of 2025, Binance is going to allegedly sell their alleged Monero that they have on their, I guess it's not an alleged platform, but just wanted to say alleged 4 times now. So they're supposed to sell off whatever Monero that they still had. Whether or not they have any left is an open question. But hypothetically, there's a chance that they probably do still have some. Who knows? They're like, hey, we've got to meet all of our withdrawals, and we have, because I think they extended the withdrawal window. So maybe it's Binance buying some of this Monero because they're like, hey, people are trying to pull out their Monero, whatever. I don't know. Who knows with those guys? They're criminals, and CZ is now in jail. Is he in jail still? Is he on appeal? I don't know, actually. But, he was supposed to spend 4 months in the clink. Come again, sir?
He's in a halfway house now.
Okay. Oh, man. That's crazy. So CZ took down FTX, and Sam Bankman goes to jail for 25 years, maybe 21 if he's lucky. And then CZ gets like 2 months in jail and like 2 months in a halfway house. That just kind of makes me think he probably was part of the cabal from the beginning. And for the billions that he made, that's a slap on the wrist. It's completely a slap on the wrist. Whatever. We're not here to talk about CZ. Screw that guy. We are here to talk about Monero. And Monero Price is doing good, guys. So, if you're a trader, this is a point that you might take a little bit of profit here. At this moment, I would also, if I'm a trader, and I kind of am, I would also be looking at this saying, yeah, but could this be the one, right? Could this be the time to break out? It could be. It's possible. If we go and we take a look here, we'll take a look at the privacy coins in a second. But if we take a look at Bitcoin, the I hate to call it the big daddy of the market, but it kind of is lately. So what are you going to do? Bitcoin is still in our big megaphone pattern here, our broadening structure. This thing is, I want to say it's meant to break to the upside, but man, this is also a very long, this is turning into a very long chart pattern. So it is possible. It could happen that this thing bumps up to the top side, takes some pullback here, meanders on. Oh God, we're going to crash, and then comes back up, and then comes to the top side, and it could be all the way until 2025 till this pattern actually breaks. That could happen, guys. I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. I'm just saying that is a plausible way that this chart could unfold. So, I mean, in the big picture, it is a bit of a smaller pattern. Actually, no, I take it back. In the big picture, it is now developing into a larger pattern, which, when broken, will give it legs, right? If and when this pattern breaks, it will have legs to move towards the upside. We are going to be targeting all the way to the top of the red line here at some point. Probably next year, we're going to start to be eyeing that red line. And that red line is red for a reason. It tells you, hey, that is your sell point. Don't be regarded. Sell when we get close to the line. That's what that line is for. You DCA as you approach the red line. You DCA out as you approach the red line, and you DCA in anywhere below the blue line. So believe it or not, we're actually pretty close to the blue line, and you had a pretty good opportunity here, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, to make a solid trade to the upside. So that's Bitcoin on the medium long term there. What it's going to do right now, probably it's going to continue moving up towards this line right here. I think for the next, let's just say the next few weeks, Bitcoin is primed to move towards the upside. Cryptocurrency is primed to move towards the upside, in no small part because we're looking here at the Dixie, the dollar index has broken down. The dollar index has now has broken down below the standard deviation lines. And remember, the blue lines are upper standard deviation, right? And you can see, I don't know how well you guys can see that. Man, one of these days, I promise I'll fix my charts. So what we'll do here is we'll take a look at the moving average, and I'm gonna make this a little bit more visible. Take that transparency down. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that on the charts now. The white lines are moving averages, okay? So in a big term, like we're looking at the weekly here, in the big scheme of things, the dollar index has been still high from after basically the bear market, right? The dollar index has still largely been pretty high. Obviously, not as high as that. But I mean, basically this is breaking down. The upper standard deviation bands where the dollar is hanging out is now breaking down. And at least in terms of, Bollinger Band analysis, you would expect this thing to visit at least to the moving average. And dollar index being bearish and falling should be bullish in general for markets. I think in a lot of ways that they have pulled, I don't want to call it a rabbit out of a hat because it wasn't that big of a trick. It was kind of like we knew it was coming. We said, hey, this isn't the big one. This is just a fake out. S&P 500 is now within 0.5% of its all-time highs. The NASDAQ basically looking the same, although it's, it's still got a little bit further to go, 4%, but NASDAQ is more volatile. But at any rate, the NASDAQ is definitely within its uptrend boundaries here, right? So we actually have very solid uptrend boundaries for looking at the NASDAQ at this point, and we're effectively just trending there. So NVIDIA, you can see NVIDIA is still basically just hanging out, doing the same thing. I drew a big vertical line right here because that's the day that I said NVIDIA is not a bubble. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but that was June, July, August. So that was 2.5 months ago. NVIDIA is still effectively trending at that same price, a little bit above, a little bit below. And NVIDIA is going to do what the rest of the market does, right? So when I say NVIDIA is not a bubble, I don't want to hear anyone come at me and be like, oh, look, NVIDIA crashed with the rest of the market whenever the big tail risk event comes. Like, of course it crashed. Everything crashes, right? Like if I say Bitcoin's a bubble or Monero's a bubble, and then the market, we have a stupid medical event or whatever, right? The market has a medical event, goes into cardiac arrest for a moment. Like, yeah, everything's going to crash. But the question is NVIDIA going to stay at this valuation relative to the rest of the market? And is it going to pump to all hell after they do the intervention? The answer is yes and yes and yes. So anyways, that's NVIDIA. That's the stock market. A little bit more of a deeper look here at the macro. We are looking at reverse repos. And remember, we said that they probably rescued the markets a little bit by cashing out some of these reverse repos, dropping it into risk. So far, that's been flat, but I think that we've been seeing a lot of money move out of the Dixie, and that is probably going into the stock market, right? People are taking their dollars and moving them into the stock market. So let's see. I guess we'll just finish up on the macro here, and then we'll talk about some of the headline events. Because there's a few of them. This is bonds. So yeah, we've talked about this bond chart since forever. Yield curve is ever so slowly, barely refusing to go back into the not inverted zone, probably because that's the zone where we really start to look for market crashes. Although we can now see here that bonds, like the top of the bond market is in, guys. Like, I don't know if you guys buy bonds. I doubt any of you are, but hey, some people do. In fact, in some cases, you might have mad gains, and then you're like, wait, what do I do with this money? We're in a bear market. You might buy a 1-year bond for 5%, right? Some people did that. I even might know 1 or 2 people that did that. But the point is the top of the bond market is in. JPOW. So they have every summer, they have this big conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So JPOW said that it is time to lower rates. He said he patted himself on the back for how good that he fought inflation after he created the inflation. And now they're going to lower rates. So, yep, the forward-looking nature of people in the bond market already knew this, which is why bonds cratered. Bonds are going to continue to do this now. The stair step, it's time for the stair step to happen. Their next meeting is in September. So unless we get crazy high inflation numbers in September, so we get the inflation numbers right before their next meeting next month. Unless we get crazy high inflation numbers, this line is coming towards the downside in September. They're going to lower rates, probably just a 1/4 point, but it's going to happen. And that's the beginning of the end, guys, which will be the beginning of a new beginning in the cycle of the market cycles, which they always do. And that will be the time for our bags to pump. That's exactly when our bags will pump. Okay. So yeah, that's basically, is there anything else? No, nothing else is important here with the macro. Just taking one more second look. I guess gold is, part of macro, kind of, but gold is macro, but gold is like sovereign. So it can be both, I guess. Yeah, gold is flirting with the all-time highs. It's like it wants to break this line. It's hanging out here at the top. The deep state, the Illuminatis, the Illuminati bros, they don't want gold to break out to the upside. So they're like, wait, just hold on, suppress it for a little bit while we run the stock market. And then this thing's going to bust to the upside at some point here. It could be next week. Doesn't have to be. Could be 2 weeks from now. But gold is still bullish. At this point, I'm starting to think that the breaking of this line here, right, of our resistance line, is a foregone conclusion. It's just a matter of when. And then the next look will be the purple line, right? We'll expect gold to get to that purple line. And for as long as the stock market continues to be bullish, gold should be bullish with it. Could be at different moments in time and fits and starts, people moving from gold and back to stocks and back to gold again. But ultimately, we're going to be looking here at this line for something like around there. for like a big headliner place to say, hey, that might be actually a big spot for gold to pull back. And that might actually factor into our analysis of, is the big crash here yet, right? But that's months away, guys. The big crash is not here. It's at least months away. So we talk about it, we talk about it a lot, but I don't want to fool you. I don't want to miscommunicate. That crash is still going to be months away. So, for the meantime, things are looking pretty good here with prices. Bitcoin versus Monero. Yeah, we continue to make a little bit of a comeback here on the Bitcoin versus Monero chart. We are finding some resistance. So I don't know how well you guys can see this, but let me just make that line a little bit brighter for you. The problem is that when I look at these charts on my own, I don't want the brightness to be too big, but on the podcast here, it's harder for you guys to see it. Okay. Anyways, lower standard deviation levels on the XMR BTC ratio is that orange line that I'm drawing. So you'll notice we're basically experiencing a little bit of resistance here at that line. So, ultimately, again, when it comes to the bull market, actually breaking through all-time highs, if you're, for Bitcoin and the rest of crypto, like new total market cap breaking to new all-time highs and then sustaining new all-time highs over the period of at least 1, but like 2 or 3 months. When that happens, we should see some outsized performance versus Bitcoin. There will come a moment that we probably make it back to the 009 level. Maybe we even make it back to the 0.01 level. Let's see. Okay, we're looking at Bitcoin dominance here. Bitcoin dominance still doing pretty good. It's hanging out. It seems to be having a little bit of resistance here at sort of an obvious level, which is defined from the beginning of the last bull market, where Bitcoin dominance crashed and then made this big rebound. I'm not too sure if Bitcoin is necessarily going to be the darling of the stage here for too long, but it could be, right? Because part of getting the bull market going is convincing everyone that Bitcoin is now sustaining into new all-time highs. And they did that last time by pulling from altcoins to shove Bitcoin up at the very end of 2020, right? They just slammed Bitcoin to the upside to get everyone like bullish and then investing all their money that they got, from all the stimulus checks and everything else. So it could happen, right? We could still see Bitcoin dominance increase. That's a possibility. But this chart moves violently, right? This chart, once the bull market once everyone's convinced, and especially if we get a liquidity event, this chart could just smash to the downside, like very, very quickly. Okay, so that's basically what markets look like there. Xano has a pretty nice move. So looking at the privacy coins now, Xano has a pretty nice move here. Look, it's even kind of matched my squiggly. What happy coincidence? Let's delete that. It's actually getting pretty close to its all-time highs. It might have even it actually tagged all-time highs. So Xano has been a great bet since we've sort of started covering it. It's up 2x now. That's pretty good. Can't complain if you're up 2x on Xano there. Zcash, funny enough, didn't actually do anything this week. They pulled all their gains forward from the future. It's almost like they have some sort of money printing machine, or it's almost like they're connected to people with the money printing machine, and they can pull those gains forward from the future while everything else pumps, or it pumps early, and then it's just sitting here hanging out doing nothing while everything else pumps. I don't know. I'm just kind of like talking out my ass there. Whatever. Okay, Darrow is also languishing. Like Darrow didn't do anything this past week, and you would think, with all the positive news, that Darrow could do something, but it's still having problems down here. I'm sure that they'll find a way, to get this thing, to launch it for some period of time. Is that going to be next week? I don't know. Like I said, we talked about, hey, this could be a spot right here. We're in the zone to maybe take a long here. If you're going to do it, don't do it with any significant amount of money, guys, because this chart can still crash further. Especially when they had such a catastrophic failing as they did. Fero's up. Fero has actually now tagged the underside of the lower standard deviation. Now that I'm looking at this chart, these red lines down here, one thing that is common to happen is that you'll actually dip below the red lines. I don't know how well you can see them, but you dip below them. And then if you make some good comeback, that actually could signal the bottom. That could signal that this wick down there was a low for Fero. So I was talking about how this chart does not look good, how it's been, that overall the chart structure is negative, and to be very careful with it. This is one of those times where you're kind of like, you move from a very negative position saying, okay, maybe I'm changing my mind here on this chart. Maybe Fero is actually putting in a bottom here. Maybe it's showing some strength, whereas the chart previously looked bad. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look like a good chart, but at the same time, this does plausibly look like what a bottoming pattern might look like. So just Yeah, and then we already talked about Monero. We got here on the left here, basically getting back to our local highs. I think, okay, so let's put all that aside now and talk about a couple of things that happened. Justin Sun, he got, let's actually go to our shitcoins now. Shitcoins, these are the Z-scores of the shitcoins. Okay, so you'll see TRX in green. TRX is pumped, good, big pump, good. Quote unquote, good for Justin Sun, good for Tron, good for anyone that's playing in the Tron ecosystem. Ecosystem is such a nice way of calling it. Okay, but Tron, Justin Sun somehow got Tron listed on Dex Screener. Dex Screener is like one of the primary go-to places for people trading NFTs and ETFs and, not ETFs, NFTs and just like different tokens, meme coins, and all of the other like ERC20 and TRC20, all of the garbage, all of the lowest of the low garbage that you can think of for meme coins, all get traded, and most people go to Dex Screener. So anyway, somehow he got himself listed on Dex Screener, which has been a source of a big pump. Guys, Tron will remain relevant for as long as it continues to receive the billions of USDT from Paolo and the gang from Tether. So as long as they keep getting money, like somehow Tron is going to remain relevant. I guess, why not? Whatever. Like Sol is also a pretty centralized chain, and it's also used. It gets a lot of Tether. And okay, so just know that that's out there if you're a degen. Yeah, Tron did a pump. Everything else is moving towards the upside, but Tron actually really pumped it out. And the last thing that we're going to talk about here is Kraken. Oh, here's this just really quick. This is where Binance said, hey, we're going to start selling specific cryptocurrencies. So this includes Monero and Bitcoin Gold. That's great. So we're relegated in Binance's eyes to Bitcoin Gold level of status. Okay, so September 1st, they're going to start selling whatever remaining Monero that they have. Probably they're just going to give it to the CIA since they're an American dominated company now, since they're basically, they do what the US says, and apparently this is going to continue until March 2025. Okay, whatever, we talked about that already. Okay, so there was a ruling, I think it was the Ninth Circuit, California. There was a ruling between Kraken and the SEC, and basically what we're getting is confirmation of what we've talked about for a long time here, because we covered Ripple for a little bit. What we're getting is confirmation is that the courts don't see tokens themselves per se, the actual tokens or networks, they don't see them as securities. So effectively the SEC is saying, Kraken, you sold securities on your platform and you're bad and you must pay us money so that we can protect people now from what they're going to do if you don't pay them money. So there's been like some back and forth on what this ruling actually means. So here's the deal. It wasn't actually exactly a ruling. It was more of a judgment in terms of will the case proceed or not, because Kraken had put a motion to dismiss, and the judge denied that motion to dismiss. But in the denial were some interesting things. So you can see here it says, although the way that the SEC labels crypto assets as crypto asset securities, that this is unclear and confusing, and that. So the judge does this kind of like Jedi mind trick, and it's really like, to say that gives more credit to judges than I think most of them deserve, but some of them are good, so I don't want to like hate on all judges. But anyways, he says, you're not saying that all tokens are securities, right? You're just alleging that some of the transactions that were involving those tokens, the transactions were securities. Like, for example, when you sold the initial token sale or helped them sell the initial token sale. But you don't mean that the actual networks themselves are securities. And just to like hammer the point home even more clearly, the SEC says going forward, the judge said the SEC must be careful going forward to maintain the distinction, because if it tries to argue that individual tokens are investment contracts or are themselves securities, its argument cannot proceed. So it's telling the SEC, you are not allowed to argue that any of these tokens or networks that you're alleging, or any of these cases of transactions that happened on Kraken, you're not allowed to allege that the tokens themselves are securities. You can say that Kraken sold investment contracts, right? Because it's not just the token. It's about the circumstances surrounding the sale of the thing, right? It's just like the orange groves in Howie. It's like the oranges were not securities. The trees were not securities, but the selling of that, like of the totality of what was sold there. Hey, we're going to sell you this, a plot of land, and we're going to manage the output of those trees, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to gain a profit for you, and we're going to return that profit to you. All of those circumstances together amounted to the sale of an investment contract, right? Which is a quote unquote, a security equals an investment contract. So what they're saying is the tokens are not an investment contract. It's just the way that you handle them. And so the case can proceed, but again, we're just getting more confirmation from the court. Tokens typically almost never are securities. It's just what you do with them, right? It's what you promise about them, how you sell them, how you market them, and then who helped you do it, and all that stuff. So anyways, that was just know that if you're out there reading about one side or the others, the SEC being like, we won, we can proceed, this is our victory, all right, and then Kraken Legal is like, and other people like, this is a sweeping victory for Kraken. Just know that there's more nuance than that. Okay, other than that, I don't know if we've got Seth here on, but if Seth is here, I don't want to take up any more time here. So Doug, I will hand it back over to you. That's the crypto markets. Things again, things are up. The direction's up. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen like tomorrow. It doesn't have to happen even next week. But the more likely direction here is up, and that should continue for really. I mean, we're looking through the end of the year. We should be getting gains across the board: stock markets, crypto, risk assets, etc. So that is the price report today. Handing it back over to you guys, or not.
All right, thank you, Bawdy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Do we have Seth up here? Where's Doug?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, there he is.
Indeed.
All right, hold on.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I moved my speaker. So, Bawdy, what would you say? What is your prediction with regards to the election and how the Monero price will react in a Kamala win versus a Trump win?
At this moment, I think we're looking at this.
Monerotopia going to be? Monerotopia is happening like the second week in November after the election. Well, what's going to be happening if Kamala?
We did this last time Trump? And we were both wrong.
Were we?
All right, let's just.
No, you had it.
Let's just make it the obvious. So in November, Monero will be $230. Monero will be at the top of the upper standard deviation band right there.
So how do you feel? So how do you think the election will affect Monero? Or you're just looking at it in terms of the charts? So it doesn't matter what's happening in the world. This is statistically the direction Monero is headed. Monero is deciding the future.
Overall, I don't think the election matters for Monero's price. It might matter for the way that price unfolds, but so let's just take it on two sides, right? If there's a Trump win and he actually does pro crypto stuff, then I mean, obviously that's bullish for Monero, right? And my thinking is that, listen, we're looking at this tail risk event coming up, right? We like the snowball is now in motion. Like it's a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. And so when the big washout, like whenever the next big crash happens, which will probably be next year, they're going to expand liquidity. They have to, right? They're going to start printing money again, and that's going to lead into the next big bull market. Maybe they'll restrain themselves because inflation was so bad last time, but they're going to do some kind of liquidity expansion. Okay, so that's good. That should happen whether it's Kamala or whether it's Trump. Now with Kamala, you kind of get this extra boost because if she's going to do the capital gains, the unrealized gains tax. How many people are like, fuck that, I'm going to Monero? Yeah.
Right. That's what I was getting at. So could Kamala be the better Monero outcome if they start to do things like talking about unrealized capital gains?
Yeah, that's very, very possible. Like, so
that's
get out there, guys, and vote for K.
I'm finally getting along with my other family members. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm on board with Kamala. Let's do this.
So, like, that's the bad thing is if she gets elected and does this unrealized capital gains tax, then you get taxed on your profits from
on your real estate, even.
Trying to get away from the inflation tax. So either way, you're going to be taxed unless you're not in the traditional stock markets and not putting your assets into dollar-denominated assets. Which can be seized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
really
they're going to
is
carve
nowhere
out
to
some
put it
special
except Monero.
exceptions. Like, you know they're going to carve out exceptions. They'll be like, well, if you're in a 401k or IRA or any of our like completely controlled instruments, then you won't get taxed on your unrealized gains. They're also saying that it's only for super rich people, but I mean, come on, the income tax started only for the super rich people, and now it's like for the super poor. Well,
yeah, exactly. Like that's not going to happen. It's going to be for the rich people for about 2 seconds.
I just want to make sure we bring up the super chats. I don't know, Bawdy, did you see these? I think this is dark.
Oh crap, no.
Yeah. Here, wait, take a look at this one.
All right, let's see here. Bank Exit, Pierre Bank Exit, nice name. Tipped $5.01. That's like Price is Right rules with that extra penny. Hi team. Paradoxically, the chart should not go up too much. If it does, people will start to hoard and not spend their Monero, and we will fail transitioning economy. See Gresham Lax. Gresham Lax. You know what, man? Let's maybe I can just look that up right now. You mean like Gresham's law? Good money.
Yeah.
Good money drives out bad.
Yeah, people will just start to hoard instead. You know, like we saw with Bitcoin, right? So it becomes the digital gold meme, and
I mean,
people no longer use it.
Fungible money serves the use case of savings, right? Like money should serve the use case of savings. And gold is a relatively stable savings vehicle. It relatively tracks with inflation over long periods of time. The reason people hold the reason that people hoard Bitcoin because they have the hope of mad gains. That's why they hoard it, right? But when you have money that you can save that maintains its value, then you have something that people don't mind spending when they need to, because they're not sitting there holding out for like super mega gains. But yeah, I mean, if price does go up, then maybe we do run into that problem a little bit. I still think that Monero is so damn useful for transactions that we should still be able to maintain a decent amount of like actual currency use case.
Yeah, I think there's so much value into being able to buy things anonymously and privately that people will use it when it goes up in price, because they'll want to benefit from that, right? There's value to get from that action of spending Monero when it goes up. Untraceable saying, actually, it's the opposite for me. When Monero price goes up, I start, I'm the same way, and hold it when the price is too low.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm at the point where I equally spend no matter what the price is, because I just use it to run our businesses. So that's why I've kind of trained myself to not completely ignore price. We got another one. Bawdy fan tip, $3. These are all very generous tips. $3.31. Do you think that the cabal is worried about undermining their own asset value and pulling back their crackdown on tokens?
Man, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Is the cabal worried about undermining their own asset value? Oh, so you're saying that that effectively all of these other like shitcoin tokens are they're basically like a good way of distracting people from actual digital freedom money. Yeah. I mean, I think that we're basically seeing the end of the widespread legal attack from the SEC and all of like the different executive branch attacks on various crypto quote unquote currencies, right? Crypto assets. They're kind of at the tail end of this. I think we know what things are going to like, what the courts are going to rule on it. Probably next year with the next presidency or whatever, like we're going to see some comprehensive crypto legislation come out of this. It's going to regulate stable coins. That will probably actually be bad for crypto. I think right now, I kind of like that everything is in this gray area and it's the Wild West. People just do whatever. So yeah, they probably will actually pull those attacks back at some point here. And that will probably be accompanied with actual legislation. All right. We also have Demi Goddard. Gresh law lacks. There would be also, sorry, so bad. It's the problem is it's on my phone. So like I'm looking at it on my phone. Gresh law lacks. There would also be the demand to be paid in Monero. Yeah, that there's also that, right? So people want the thing, so you're going to have to transact in it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is going to be on the news, but the UAE says that you can be paid in crypto now, because there was some sort of lawsuit where I guess a person was trying to get paid from an employment contract in crypto, and the company didn't want to do it, and they sued them. but I'm assuming that's gonna be in the
interesting.
news.
That's I didn't know about that. Okay, that is really interesting because usually the courts will rule in favor of their is offered, then it must be accepted regardless of what the contract says. That's very often what court rule in various cases, but apparently not this one.
All right, I'm getting a little laggy over here. I don't know if it's Bawdy's internet.
All right, we got. Okay, do we have another XMR chat here?
Yeah, there's one. They keep coming.
Bawdy fan tipped $1.23. He said, "I am also asking on crypto. I don't think that it would translate to removing any protections on other apps."
Is Bawdy lagging?
Yeah, Bawdy's lagging. He's
okay. I was thinking my connection was broken for a second. I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. But apparently,
let's take advantage of this moment and we'll move on. We got to get Seth up here because he's limited on time.
All right.
So we will move on here. Hold up, I gotta play the guest segment. Seth, are you ready? Here we go.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, Seth, what's going on, man?
Hey. Going pretty
well.
How are
you? How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Nice.
Hold on.
Nice.
Let me get rid of this charts thing. Yeah, we're good. What's up, man? You're back. You never left. You never left.
I think some people thought I left. Some people thought I left, but I've always been there.
I've been trying to I've been trying to save your character out here. I'm like, that said, it is true. You never left Monero. You were you've been just passionate about your exploration of privacy tech.
Yeah.
And the privacy tech that is the most useful to the most amount of people. I feel like that's been your mission. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I definitely think that's kind of how I would summarize it. Is like, obviously I've always just absolutely loved Monero. Monero is the reason I care about personal privacy. Like I've told my story many times, but it's because of the Monero community and because of Monero as a project that like I exist in this form at all as somebody who cares about taking actionable steps towards human freedom and building tools that help human freedom, building things around Monero, building things around Bitcoin that actually help to preserve some privacy, not just custodial tools, which are all the rage today in Bitcoin, unfortunately. But there's definitely a part of me that has always wanted to do things in a broader way than just Monero, which sounds weird. I know some people are very like Monero all the way, but there's just a lot of people who right now aren't using Monero, unfortunately. And I've always wanted to make sure that they have access to financial privacy as well. So this little kind of foray into the Bitcoin-centric space, I think is maybe a better term for it. And that was kind of what we were careful to use at Foundation because lots of people at Foundation love Monero. We had lots of conversations around Monero within the team and have been trying to find ways that we could kind of fit in. I still say we. I'm still not used to the change. They.
You were so committed.
I know. I'm still selling. It was a big deal for them too, but there wasn't a clear path towards focusing more on Monero. So I was really psyched when this opportunity came up. Just chatting with Vic off and on over the past few months and trying to figure out if there was a good fit here where I could help jump in, help take some of the load off of him because that guy is nuts. I don't think anyone understands properly. I mean, you probably understand more than just about anyone else.
Oh yeah.
How much he does in both of his day jobs and like the amount that he contributes back and just really a person that I highly, highly respect and have been thankful to call a friend for a long time. So yeah, just really excited for this chance to jump back in and have a clear, consistent focus on Monero, but not at the expense of dropping all of the research and education and improvements to Bitcoin privacy that I've been also trying to work on. So I think that's why it's really just kind of like the match made in heaven, with Cake Wallet pioneering silent payments and lots of other fun stuff on the horizon as well that fit in well with bringing privacy to more people, while also focusing on Monero as the bread and butter of what we do. So I'm really pumped for it.
Amazing, man. Right place, right time. So, but Foundation really, they really didn't want to move forward with adding Monero in any way?
So it's really more of they would love Monero support on their devices, but it just wasn't something where they were going to have the bandwidth to actually build it themselves. So like I teased at the end of my announcement that Cake will be working with Foundation. Like we have some plans there on how we can potentially bring Monero support to Foundation devices, to Passport now that people know, and to a future as to be revealed device that will be an even better fit for Monero. So there's definitely stuff in the works. Like I said, Foundation loves Monero, but they were always very careful to use that term Bitcoin centric, because they viewed it as, we're going to build for Bitcoin first, but we're going to build open tools that people can use and expand to do other things like Monero. And while that was a little limited on the Passport that we have today, on the future device, it's going to be a lot more wide open. So there's going to be clear collaboration between us for sure, because I just absolutely love the ethos of Foundation. Like I have no bad things to say about that team in leaving, and it certainly wasn't anything where like there were issues there that I needed to get away from, but rather just that I figured this would be the real kind of perfect crossover of the things that I love, and still in an interesting and different way continue to help out the mission that Foundation has via Cake Wallet, which I'm excited for what we'll be able to do there over the next 6 months, year.
How are you seeing Monero adoption right now? Are a lot of Bitcoin privacy people moving over to Monero? Are they more welcoming to Monero more than ever? That's my perception, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think in the wake of Samurai Wallet, there has been a monumental shift towards this idea of saving in Bitcoin and spending in Monero, which I know Don't Trace Me Bruh has some good counterpoints to the ways that I've kind of talked about that strategy before. Basically, that Monero should and could be a fantastic store of value as well. And we've seen that even has been quite a good store of value despite delistings and despite everything else. It's been holding well. But within the Bitcoin camps, like there is a clear desire to have an easy way to spend and maintain financial privacy. For a long time, Lightning was said to be that, but up until, in my opinion, very, very recently, like the last few months, it hasn't actually lived up to that expectation. And even still, really, I think the only wallet where Lightning lives up to that expectation is Phoenix Wallet, but it has clear privacy issues on the sender side, which they're upfront about, but essentially you don't gain sender privacy from Phoenix themselves when using Phoenix Wallet. But the rest of the experience is very good. Receiver privacy is good. There's a lot of good things about it, but there hasn't been this like easy to use, privacy preserving Lightning Wallet that actually lived up to the expectations. So I think in the wake of that, Bitcoiners have gone two ways. There's been the just shocking and frustrating shift towards Fedimints, eCash, Cashew, all of the kind of custodial tools that give you privacy from the custodian, but make you trust a custodian. They make you give up your keys. You can no longer actually hold your Bitcoin. You get some IOU eCash token that you hope you can redeem for Bitcoin in the future. And while it does give good privacy, it's just that there's no way that we can settle for giving up custody to get privacy, or this is going to fall apart quickly, not to mention the fragility of a custodial system as the privacy tool, because that will be taken down in a heartbeat if it actually gets clear usage, because it's easy to take down and it has a clear regulatory framework for being taken down. So that's one path that Bitcoiners are taking. That's just driving me nuts. That I've been one of the few. There are more people against it than speak out about it, which kind of always seems to be the trend, frustrating as that is. But I've been one of the more vocal ones, really kind of pushing back on that and saying, like, guys, if we're giving up on self-custody and privacy and saying the only way we can solve these two things is by just giving up custody altogether, Like there's no point in having Bitcoin. This doesn't make any sense anymore. But that's definitely the bad path. The other path
what is your prediction there with regards to what Bitcoin will become? What is its most likely trajectory at this point?
I think it's hard to predict because Bitcoin's really at a fork in the road right now. With the conversations around soft forks for things like Opcat or covenants, if those go well and we actually get some form of a soft fork that allows much better programmability of Bitcoin and allows better self-custody tools, allows better privacy tools to be built, I think there's a lot of hope for it continuing to be a useful tool. Like, I'm not saying it's never going to be like a Monero-like privacy tool. That's just not going to happen because the consensus is never going to get there for that. But if it can get a soft fork like this, and it seems like there's pretty good consensus around it, I think there's some hope left. But if these soft fork discussions stall out and don't go anywhere, there's just going to be very little that you can do on top of Bitcoin that's actually useful, because the issues with Lightning will persist and won't be solvable without one of these soft forks. Other layer 2 networks like Arc, which is really promising, is drastically worse if you don't have covenants. And a lot of the potential privacy tools that could be built using covenants just can't exist. So there's certainly kind of a fork in the road right now. So it's hard to predict. I'm hopeful that the conversations around these soft forks have actually been pretty positive, a lot better than I expected. So I think there's hope that Bitcoin will get better. And the important thing there for Monero people specifically is that Bitcoin remaining an openly accessible form of money, like I'm not going to say it's digital cash or something like that, but at least money that you can get relatively easily and spend and store in a self-custodial way with pretty good privacy assurances, is an invaluable tool to Monero users, because it's a censorship resistant on-ramp that's like, it's impossible to stop. Like the Unstoppable Swap guys chose their name appropriately, because with atomic swaps, or even with just the simple decentralized exchanges that we have today, Bitcoin is just an immensely powerful on-ramp. So we want Bitcoin, like as Monero people, we should want Bitcoin to continue improving as a tool for freedom, not only for the just broader amounts of people who are going to be using Bitcoin, whether or not they realize the need for privacy, those sorts of things, but also just as an on-ramp for Monero. It's really, really important that we have Bitcoin continue to be that. So that's where I'm kind of like hopeful, but we're really at a fork in the road on Bitcoin. And I think within the next like 1 to 2 years, we'll know, is this just kind of dead end? Are we just kind of done here? And there's not much more we can do outside of like non-protocol improvements, things like silent payments that are good, but they're just addressing a very small piece of the problem. Or will we get these soft fork changes and be able to actually build out better privacy tools, better self-custody, that sort of thing, to keep Bitcoin at least as a useful tool? Amazing assessment.
I mean, so it's the number go up crowd is really who's running Bitcoin right now. Would you say that's fair? Like politically, in terms of
yeah. I mean, I would say so. It's always hard to judge because like the window we get into Bitcoin, at least myself as primarily on X and sometimes on Nostr, it's just it's an echo chamber, like a wild echo chamber. So it's hard to judge what the like broad consensus is outside of the reeing voices on Twitter. But it certainly seems like the trend has continued towards number go up at all costs, with ETFs and people cheering those on, with a lot of people starting to say like, just give up on self-custody, don't worry about it. We have ETFs, like you can just do that. We have eCash, you can just do that for your spending, and don't worry about the rest. But I wouldn't say that it's like controlled at this point. I know there's a lot of debate about that always, but rather that many of the vocal voices are like that. But there are still really good people, especially like around the soft forks that I mentioned. There's really good people who are brilliant and well-spoken, who are pushing hard for Bitcoin to continue to evolve and get better in all the ways that we love in Monero. Being easier to self-custody, being easier to spend privately, having better node privacy, mining becoming more decentralized and more accessible as commodity hardware through things like the BitX project. Like there's still really, really cool stuff going on. But yeah, of course, the influencers are influencing, and most of them are unfortunately corrupt and happy to just to take the pay that they can get and show what they can and push for number go up. But thankfully that's not everyone. So there's definitely still, there's great people in Bitcoin. And that's been one encouraging thing and discouraging thing of getting just kind of like deeper into the Bitcoin ecosystem is you learn that some people who you really respected are really just there to pump themselves up and weren't actually pushing for human freedom as much as you thought. But then you also get to find people who are smaller, they don't have the platform that others do, who really are focused on the right things, and are really fighting for powerful improvements on Bitcoin, for decentralized mining, like I mentioned, people that are really pushing hard for the right things. So it has been cool to find those people, but they definitely
are those people often Monero people as well, or no?
I mean, I would say almost without exception, they at least have a respect for Monero. Yeah. I mean, many of them use Monero. And to call back to your earlier question that I kind of veered off of, that's been like the crazy shift since Samurai Wallet is this idea of like people who are like Bitcoiners. Like I'm not people who just use Bitcoin, but people who like would call themselves Bitcoiners. Like they're not going to abandon Bitcoin as a store of value, unless things get like really, really bad. But they want to be able to spend privately. And in the wake of Samurai Wallet, Wasabi Wallet, Phoenix leaving the US, LSPs leaving the US, just clear issues with being able to achieve spending in Bitcoin, much less spending with privacy. People have shifted to Monero. Like a lot of people that I did not expect to be open to it at all have shifted to Monero. Just like always, there's a lot of people who are well known, but in the shadows and don't talk about how they use Monero and appreciate it. But it continues to be where Monero is one of those that everyone respects. Like without a doubt, anyone who is genuine absolutely respects Monero, understands its value, and is happy to see it used. So yeah, it's been encouraging to see when there was a gap to fill. Monero really did fill that gap in a way that I was hopeful for, but obviously couldn't. It's hard to predict exactly what will happen. Will everyone just bail and go to eCash or whatever, or will people decide like, no, I actually care about self-custody more than I care about something being denominated in Bitcoin but not held by me? And so there's a lot more people using Monero now than there were before, and Monero is one of those things that like it gets its hooks in you, because once you actually use it and you understand how easy it is to use in a privacy preserving manner, because you just use it and it is privacy preserving. Once you get away from the hoops that you have to jump through on Bitcoin, it's really hard to go back at that point. So it has a beautiful snowball effect of people getting into Monero, understanding how powerful of a tool it is, wanting to be able to easily exchange it between Bitcoin and Monero. So you get all of those on-ramps between Bitcoin and Monero, getting more liquidity and more funding. All of those are getting better. You get more people using things like Cake Wallet, so they're starting to understand more about how they can easily swap between them, how they can use Monero easily, where they can use Monero, gift cards they can buy with Monero. Like you get people kind of falling into that Monero rabbit hole, and that aids the circular economy. More people want to accept Monero. It's a beautiful thing. So it has been really cool to see, and it's one of kind of the silver linings of the crackdown on Bitcoin privacy, is that people are finally, like those that respected Monero but were like, I don't need it, like I'm not going to mess with it. They're finally going like, okay, I really need this now. Like I understand. I'm going to go try this out, and they're getting hooked.
You got to come down to Monerotopia, man. You got to come hang out. No way we get you down there in person.
I don't think so. So I had already agreed to do the Plan B forum in Lugano before all this shift from Foundation to Cake, and they wanted me to come out and focus like exclusively on Bitcoin privacy stuff, with some really interesting topics. And so I'd already set all that up, and it's just a great chance also to get my family out to Switzerland and Italy and just have some time off there as well. So we'll be doing that. I mean, I'll probably get back before Monerotopia, but it'll be like a few days before, and I don't know.
Mexico City is a nice place to hang out too, man. It's a nice hangout. You'll enjoy it.
I'm definitely going to be down there. I mean, obviously now that I'm with Cake, Monero events are going to be a heavy focus. So I'll be able to shift a lot of that from the Bitcoin scene to the Monero scene, focus more on Monerotopia, get back to MoneroCon. I'm really excited for that. I miss my people.
What would you say the community should be focused on right now to to best grow usage of Monero? What should we all be?
Yeah, I mean, I really think obviously full chain membership proofs is huge. So pushing that, supporting that, donating and verbally supporting the devs who are working on anything around full chain membership proofs, because that's kind of the final jewel in the crown of Monero. Because at that point, there's not a clear or arguable weakness, and everyone is going to get massively improved privacy from that. So that's obviously like the big thing that we need to continue harping on and focusing on. But obviously there's not a lot that we can each individually do with that. Like there are brilliant people working on that are far smarter than me. And I have nothing to contribute directly to like full chain membership proof development or research. But I think the thing where we really need to continue focusing, and it's going to be a big focus for me at Cake as well, is just continuing to get the sync user experience better.
Usability, yeah.
Yeah, like it has gotten way better since I started in Monero. Like it's wild. If someone picks up a Monero wallet today for the first time, like their experience is just like mind-blowing compared to what it used to be like using Monero 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Crazy.
We've come a long way, and a lot of that has come down to wallets getting better, things like Cake Wallet just bringing improvements over and over and over the years, but also a lot of back-end work like from Justin Berman, his big
we got to get
tagging sync.
Yes.
I was just going to say his tagging sync proposal that was implemented a few years ago that drastically reduced sync times. It's gotten to where it's like for a Monero user, it feels great and fast. But if you ask somebody to come from like a regular Bitcoin wallet where they're using like a Fulcrum backend where their wallet basically just says, these are my addresses, give me the balance, which yes, is awful for privacy. I definitely understand that, but it's really good for usability. And you're asking someone to come from that, where they essentially have their wallet always synced without ever having to wait, to Monero, where if you're spending regularly like I am, like I never have problems with sync. It's just not a problem because I'm constantly spending it, opening it to try out some new feature, to test something, to swap back and forth. Like I'm almost always relatively close to being in sync. But for somebody who uses it like once a month or every couple of months, that sync process is still really painful. So I think there should be a continued big focus on specifically background sync on mobile apps so that your wallet can continue to sync in the background even when you don't have it open using the view key, which is another thing that I think it was Justin Berman who worked on that, making that easier to actually accomplish. And really just making
we're integrating that into the Nodo, by the way. Nice. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
How will that work? I guess through
the Monero Light Wallet server. You would enter it into your Nodo, and then you could, use the My Monero wallet or, some of these others that use LWS.
Yeah.
Trying to get Cake to add that, by the way. I've been asking Vic. So wait, maybe you can put this on your to-do list. Come on, man.
It definitely will be. I've actually had it on my list for a long time because I don't want it to be the default. I definitely don't want it to be the default, but it should be an option for people who have their own Light Wallet server or have someone that they trust.
Yeah. So because now you can run. This is my thinking with Nodo the entire time, right? Because I'm a Cake user, and I wanted to get around the sync time.
Yep.
That seems like the best path towards it, right? So you run your own node, your own Light Wallet server, and you're connected to Cake, and you're getting instantaneous transactions, and you're not sacrificing any privacy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's like, the funny thing too is we're so hardcore in the Monero community that like the thought of giving over your view key and someone knowing what transactions you have, even if they don't know details about where they're going or where they're coming from, is like the plague to Monero users. But that's like better than any Bitcoin wallet sync experience that people have today. So like even in that worst case of like, I don't think I would ever want Cake to run our own Light Wallet server. But even in like the use case of, let's say I ran a public Light Wallet server that anyone could use and I would have visibility into your transactions. I'm not going to do this, I don't think. But if I was, that privacy experience is still drastically better than almost any other cryptocurrency out there and still prevents even me from learning a lot of information about your transactions as well. So even in that case where you're like using a trusted third party, it's still a relatively good privacy experience, even if they're malicious in the end. And if they're not malicious, it's fantastic privacy because they're not logging, they're not giving that over to someone else. It can be nice, but especially for those people running nodes, running something like Nodo, like that's the dream. And that's the same place where I'm trying to take, or that I want to see silent payments go on the Bitcoin side, since they have the same sync problems as we do in Monero. It's the exact same experience. Moving to something where it's easy to self-host a light wallet server called something else, silent payments, but the same idea is really critical. So like I definitely want to see that. It's definitely something that is on my list with Cake as well, for implementing the ability for people to opt into that. It's not something we would do, or we would default to like our own light wallet server, but allowing people to opt into it and point it to their own or to someone they trust, a family member, friend, etc., would be really powerful.
I mean, even more important than sync is getting rid of that lock time. That's an even more onerous,
Yeah, it's weird to me because
it's a barrier to entry. Anybody that's using Monero for the first time I talked to so many, and I've obviously experienced it myself so many times, but also then just talking to other people that are like, oh my God, I didn't know it had this flaw. It's like, that is, I would say, Monero's worst usability flaw.
Even worse than sync, you think?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Because you can sync. It's very, anybody can sync. You just have to wait, right? But the 20 there's no workaround the 20-minute lock time. I mean, there is, but it's like you have to take a lot more steps, right? You could send a batch transaction to yourself, right? But that's not, that's abstract. People shouldn't have to think I have to, even do that, right? Yeah, syncing, okay, I just have to wait. Like all right, I'm waiting. That sucks. But a lot of people just don't even know how to fix the 20-minute lock time situation on their own.
Yeah, and that's where I like the pocket change feature that Monero implemented, because if it's not going to be fixed at the consensus level anytime soon, and I don't think it's changed in FCMP. As far as I know, FCMP++ specifically will not remove the 10 block lock. I could be wrong on that, but I was just reading through the spec again, and I don't think it removes that. So we'll still have it here, but there are easy ways to work around it. The thing that you mentioned, though, is if you're onboarding someone or showing someone how Monero works by sending them Monero to their wallet, there's no way to work around that. They're going to have to wait for 10 blocks, and that's super painful. So I definitely would love to see that fixed. You can abstract away a lot of the pain for the user by doing something like pocket change, where you're automatically setting up different denominations and rolling with that. And that approach works well. You naturally have that if you use Monero frequently. I'm not normally having to do anything of sending multiple inputs to myself or something like that. But obviously for the new user, that is a big gap. And even more so because for the new user, when they open a wallet for the first time and receive it the first time, they're not having to deal with the sync experience. So it can definitely be daunting. But yeah, I would like to see that fixed as well.
That should be the hackathon challenge at Monerotopia. Get rid of the 20-minute lock. And maybe Luke will just be like, I already know how to get rid of it. You guys just weren't listening.
I thought that
I'm pretty sure Luke has some path towards it. I forget what is Luke's latest take on that.
Yeah, it's a good question, honestly. Yeah,
I've definitely asked him numerous times. I forget what his latest path forward towards that is, but there is a path, my understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was going to be gone in Seraphis, but not in FCMP++, but I'm not really sure, honestly.
I got to get these super chats up here. Prying Lantis tipped $1.69. Hi, Seth. How do you like XMR chat? Do you know about XMR chat?
I don't know. Teach me.
So you go to xmrchat.com/MoneroTalk and you can send us a super chat. So it's a way for people to create their own super chat accounts, run it through StreamYard, and their audience can tip in Monero. You don't have to set up an account as a tipper.
Let's test this out.
Yeah, test it out.
It's a really beautiful service.
It's nice.
How is this? Is it custodial?
Set this hacking here right now. No. Yeah, no, completely.
You're seeing this live.
Yeah. The transactions are peer-to-peer. It's just the fee of the network. The Monero goes directly to the streamer.
Upload view key or something for that? How does it work?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah, if you go to create an account, you could see how that all works. But just a tip, you don't need to create an account. Obviously, it's just message and send Monero to an address.
Yep.
Wait, hold on. Let's see what else. We do have another one. What is this one? XMR chat. High tipped $1. Seth, any plans to add I2P to your Run a Monero node guides? That's a good question. It's a
good question. Probably not, just because it's not used very often. So it's just not a priority for me. I mean, it would be good, like if someone wanted to implement it in the guide. Like all of my documentation is open source. You can just open a PR in GitHub and add it. So like if someone who knows using I2P well with Monero D, feel free to take a stab at it. But it's also just something I've dug into I2P as a protocol from like the theory level, but I haven't used it a ton, and I haven't used it at all specifically with Monero software. I'm very hesitant to use anonymity networks that have, as far as I know, relatively low usage. So I generally don't recommend that sort of thing off the gun, but it's something I'm definitely open to. And if someone has that expertise, by all means, I'm happy to add something. If you have specific info you want to add to the guide, or if you want to PR the specific details, that can definitely be added.
Fantastic. Moneruju Evangelist tipped $1. Shout out to Moneruju for the pocket. Yeah, they do have pocket change. I don't really use Moneruju. I'm usually using Cake, but I do have my graphene phone. I have to start fitting it into my daily routine. The thing is, I already have two phones. I have like a work phone, personal phone. I just need to get the graphene going on a daily, maybe just for Monero stuff, and just
graphene for personal. No, you just gotta dive in. You gotta dive in.
I know, I have it, and it's slick. It is slick. It works well. So I did have Moneruju on there, and I was using it a little bit. But yeah, I will pledge to. I'm gonna try to have that going for Monerotopia. We got another one.
Oh, go ahead.
Seth for Privacy tipped $25. Thanks for having me on. All right, dude, very generous tip. Thank you so much.
I don't know why it's 25 and 1 cent. I just said 25.
It went
up.
Is
that like an
it went
XMR
up instead
thing?
of down.
Maybe that's it.
Oh my
Cake
god.
says 25.03, so maybe I shorted you a couple cents.
You really just put in 25?
Yeah, I just put in 25.
That's interesting.
I think there might be a little
bug.
bug.
Look into that.
Yeah. Or maybe their fiat calculations are just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I put in 25 on the XMR chat side and then just sent in Cake. And I didn't look at what it said in Cake, but now it says 25 and 3 cents there. So yeah, that's pretty cool though. I didn't realize that existed. I'll definitely have to look into that if I do any more live streams.
Yeah, I worked on that with Fiat Demise.
Okay.
And then we have a guy who actually did most of the development. I don't have his name off the top of my head, but yeah, the MVP came out very nice, and then we're trying to we'll obviously iterate it, see what features we can add to add like a revenue model to it.
Yeah. Does it take a fee or anything off of payments or no?
No, currently it's not
currently
not taking any fees,
yeah,
right? So we got to figure out a revenue model. I mean, because it could be quite useful for people if it really catches on, right? Like if you're going to be doing super chats, you might as well be doing it in a form where you're not losing any privacy and you're not losing a fee to a middleman.
Freaking 30% fees to YouTube.
I mean, if you're a big streamer, that's big. That's a big chunk of change there that you're making in addition to your tips. Nicholas Van Sager have a tip $5. 1 beer to Seth for all he's done for the Monero community. Thank you, Nicholas Van Saberhagen.
I'm just excited to be able to do more. I'm glad to have some more time to focus on Monero. I know I've been gone for a while in body, but not in spirit. I don't know if that phrase actually works here, but I haven't been physically around the Monero space or Monero events in a little while, unfortunately. But still been hanging around, still chatting a lot with a lot of people within the space, and yeah, I'm just pumped to be able to work on it more and bring a lot of the user experience.
We had you out there as an agent infiltrating the Bitcoin community.
Undercover.
I mean, come on,
yeah.
like you're still playing the role. You say, we got you.
I can't blow my cover yet. I still got all those connections, Got to keep it going. keep shilling Monero behind the scenes.
You're doing a good job at it, man. Well, I know you're short on time, so I don't want to hold you up. Get back to the fam. That obviously more important than anything else. And yeah, hope to see you around, man. Maybe I could convince you to come down to Mexico somehow. Maybe I could entice you. I'm not giving up on that yet.
I haven't booked the explicit dates for the trip that we're taking.
You will be presenting remotely, so we got you announcing that. Seth will definitely be doing presenting remotely, and maybe I'll convince.
If nothing else, I'll definitely do remote. But we'll see if I can split it. Like I said, I was saying I haven't booked the exact dates for the other trip, so maybe I can shift it around to be more like front loaded, and maybe give me some time to swing down for a quick trip to Mexico City. But we'll see.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Did I get everybody's messages? Wait, I think, yep, we got them all. I want to make sure we're getting all the super chats. All right, man. Stick around, obviously, if you can. We're going to move on to the news, but if you got to go, we understand.
I'm going to hop off, yeah. Thanks so much for having me on, Doug. Always a pleasure. So grateful for what you've done. See you around, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Fantastic. Okay. Shortwave. That was cool, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love hearing Seth.
I would have had you jump up and ask questions and brought up viewers on it, but he has to go, so I don't want to do that to him.
Yeah.
He was kind enough to jump on. Let's do the news, right? News next. Yeah, let's do news.
Why not? News is always a fun one.
Yeah, let's get it going. And we got Tony. So here we go. Here we go.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right, Tony, you there?
Hey guys.
It's funny. Sunita has two different intros here. I never realized there's one with Tony and one without Tony. For a while, you were just in the news segment and you weren't there, but you were just. It's like the news. You are synonymous with news in Monero, Tony.
Thank you.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. It's good to see Seth on Monerotopia again. I was kind of thinking how I always wanted to meet him, and then I got a chance to talk to him a little bit at Monerotopia in Miami. So that was nice because he was like literally sitting next to me, so we got to talk a little bit, which was nice. But a lot of interesting stuff for this week on the news. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Take it away.
I see you're back from Sicily.
Yeah, we're back. Yeah. We're back. We got delayed, which is very nice.
Nice, yeah.
The volcano. The volcano literally exploded. It was significant.
So how many days were you there for?
We were just in total. After we it was like an extra 4 days.
No, that's nice.
In total we were there. Like well over 2 weeks, like 2 weeks and 4 days. So it was a nice trip. It was nice.
Oh, no. Wow, nice.
That part of the world is just so nice, man. You travel. Yeah, I'm sure Romania is beautiful too. It's just good food, healthy air, good, clean water.
Yeah.
Good environment. Just the Mediterranean is just, I don't know. It just feels so healthy when you go and live there. It's like the perfect environment for a human being, I feel like.
Yeah, and like the food is so good. Like you can eat a pizza, or pasta, and gelato, and then you can run. You can it feels so good after.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You probably had gelato, for sure.
Oh my god, so much gelato. Yeah.
What was your favorite flavor? Actually, my favorite whenever I go back is pistachio. That one is really good. Yeah.
Well, the Sicilians are known for the pistachios, so there's they're grown right there on the volcano. So the pistachio ice cream there or gelato is freaking off the hook.
Oh, that's so good. And Kinder Bueno. I'm not sure if you tried that one. That one is really good too.
Which one?
Kinder Bueno.
Oh yeah. My daughter tried that one.
Oh really? No, I don't. Yeah.
Oh my god, you got me flashing back to say it was nice, man. It was beautiful. I was proposing. I threw it on this show. Obviously, I'm always thinking about Monerotopia. I went to this one site in Taormina. Taormina is this beautiful city on the coast of Sicily, and they have an ancient Greek theater there. and it's well preserved, and they do concerts there, and it's like overlooking the sea. It's like in the mountain.
Wow.
And I inquired about renting it for Monerotopia. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it would have to make sense for other reasons, right? We want to do it in a location that people can easily get to. I mean, you can. It's pretty easy. There's a main airport, but obviously, I'd want to do I'd want to see adoption there if I'm going to go do it there. The likely next spot would be Argentina, I would say, for the next Monerotopia.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, Italy would be awesome. It's just the plane ticket will be most expensive for people, unless they're from Europe. Then that'll be quite good for them. Accommodation wouldn't be too much, but you can beat Mexico. Like like you said, you can find a place for $30 a night. So that's kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, Mexico is good for getting everybody there. But then, like, the other factor is, let's do it in places where Monero is kind of naturally gaining adoption, right? So those are the two things I'm always weighing. But I did have this group of Italians that reached out to me. Coincidentally, while I was there in Italy, that's kind of this Liberty opt-out group. They're not Monero people, not yet, but they've just kind of discovered Monero, and they want to collaborate. So who knows? Maybe this is our avenue to growing Monero in Italy. We'll see. Talking to them soon.
Okay, that's
cool. I'm babbling on. Tony, take away the news. Otherwise, we'll never get to viewers on stage here.
Yes, I just want to take 1 second and go to Monerotopia.com, since we talked about the conference for quite a little bit. And if you haven't bought your tickets, go ahead and go to buy ticket. And if you put in my code, which I'll give it to you in a second, but I recommend VIP tickets just because you get the dinner and a lot of other cool stuff. But choose whatever ticket you would prefer. Add to cart, and then
we don't have your thing up here. You're going without screen.
Oh, okay. Isn't that on? I think it should be on.
No,
there we go. Okay.
Hold up. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so Monerotopia.com, and you can buy the VIP tickets or the regular one. I recommend the VIP ticket because then you get the dinner and you get to talk to the guests more. I mean, you do regardless, but the dinner is just nice and other stuff. Then if you put in code Tony24, then you're going to get a nice discount off your ticket. So make sure you use it, and hopefully we'll see you there. Now, let's get into the news section. We have quite a lot of interesting stuff. First, it's kind of political, and I'll play the videos first, since I always have kind of issues with that. So we'll get into more political stuff and then more into Monero. This one is saying that if you own a house, subtract what you paid for it from the Zillow estimate. Be prepared to pay 25% of that in a check to the IRS. That's your unrealized capital gains tax owed under the Kamala Harris proposal. So essentially, Kamala Harris proposes that you're going to be taxed on the unrealized capital gains. So real estate, commodities, equities, like whatever you have. At the end of the year, if you didn't sell, you're still going to get taxed. So that's quite insane. And also what's interesting is that they're saying that they plan to do so many things, but they can do it now. Why wait until then anyway? And they also said that they don't want to uncover the agenda only after they get elected and stuff like that. We talked about price gouging a little bit last time. Yeah, but not good stuff. But then what was interesting is that Kennedy and Trump kind of partnered together, which I didn't expect, since Robert F. Kennedy is a Democrat, as we all know. But so we're going to play 2 videos on that, but actually we'll play it now. So the first is going to be this one. It's very interesting. So they talk about how under them together, like they want to fix the corrupt health agencies. They want to get all the bad stuff from the food and all those stuff. So it'll be quite interesting. Now, let me go ahead and stop sharing this. And then I'm going to share that screen specifically. Okay, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's watch this video.
Tony, what happened?
Oh, it didn't automatically. Oh, I need to. Okay, so I need to. Okay.
Yeah. We start from the beginning. We didn't hear it.
Yeah. Okay. 1 second. I usually just add it as by itself. Okay, so I need to add it as I do it.
These agencies, the FDA, USDA, and CDC, all of them are controlled by giant for-profit corporations. 75% of the FDA's funding doesn't come from taxpayer, it comes from pharma. And pharma executives and consultants and lobbyists cycle in and out of these agencies. With President Trump's backing, I'm going to change that. We're going to staff these agencies with honest scientists and doctors who are free from industry funding. We're going to make sure the decisions of consumers, doctors, and patients are informed by unbiased science. A sick child is the best thing for the pharmaceutical industry. When American children or adults get sick with a chronic condition, they're put on medication for their entire life. Imagine what will happen when Medicare starts paying for Ozempic, which costs $1,500 a month, and it's being recommended for children as young as 6, all for a condition, obesity, that is completely preventable and barely even existed 100 years ago.
And then we're going to play one more video, and then we're going to discuss. Okay, this should be the right one. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so let's play this video too, and then we're going to go over it a little bit. Okay.
Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want the regulatory agencies to be free from corporate corruption? And that's what President Trump told me that he wanted. Don't you?
Yeah, so that was kind of unexpected for them to come together, and if that is true, and that they are going to do what they said, then that'll be amazing. But yeah, so Kamala definitely isn't happy about this. Yeah, so
what's interesting about this whole thing, I don't know if you looked into it, Tony, but it was in that thread too, that basically what the strategy of what's going on here, right? So he's aligning with Trump, and he's pledging to remove himself from the ballot on battleground states. So basically saying he's going to help Trump as much as he can, but he's not sacrificing the option to gain enough votes in these non-battleground states, which are basically throwaway states anyway, states that Trump would never win in and he wouldn't get the electoral votes in. So they're not going to hurt him in any way. He would continue to compete in those states. And if he gets enough vote, if he gets 5% of the vote, it would basically pave a way for the creation of a third political party.
Oh, wow.
That would be able to, that would be basically on the level of popularity of obviously the main two parties, right? There's never been a way to have a breakthrough third party. Obviously we have the Libertarian Party, but so this would be it's an interesting strategy. I always liked RFK Jr. I was kind of quite bullish on him when he first came out. For everything I hear him say, he does seem to really have principles that really align with Monero, the ideals of what digital cash is all about. So I'm excited about him for those reasons. Ultimately, I think this is a good move for Liberty, teaming up with Trump. Whether or not you agree with any of these people, if you just want to hope that the ball moves in one direction or the other, I think it's a good thing. Obviously, we could have the contrarian view, like we're talking about Bawdy. Maybe it's better to just root for tyranny instead, and then these tools of liberty will develop even faster. The dark forest will develop even faster if we bring upon tyranny and in the mainstream. But I don't know if that's the best route to root for.
I'm not sure if that's the best route, because once you're in the system, it's really hard to get out. Especially like communism, before we didn't have, like internet and computers like we have them today, and all the possibilities of tracking people. So it was, it wasn't as difficult as the upcoming communism, that 1984 style that we could see. So I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about it. What if, it would be good if she became president and her party, and then things will go really, really bad and people would wake up faster. But what if they put us in such a system that it's going to just be hard to get out of, like in China, and then eventually they're just going to brainwash us so much that, so I don't know. It's kind of difficult, but it's kind of, also one more thing. So it's kind of funny. As I was driving back home this morning, usually there's some people on the right side of the street, and they have Trump signs or whatever, and usually people are honking and they're screaming and they're happy, whatever. This time they're only Kamala people, not as many as Trump, and nobody was honking. Lots of cars, nobody was honking, nothing. So if they win this year again, it's gonna be really, really suspect. I don't know, but we'll see. But I mean, it's important to talk about politics, by the way, since it's related to Monero and the future and everything. So we don't want to make this too political, but you kind of have to kind of go hand in hand. Also, I wanted to bring this up since you were just in Italy, but you can now be your own ATM with Monero in Italy. So Tommy from All posted on the Monero subreddit that their flagship zero KYC XMR to cash service has expanded. It's currently in the USA, UK, Europe, Middle East.
We're seeing growth we're seeing organic growth in Italy, man. I'm telling you.
That's awesome. So we have Milano, Naples, Rome, and Palermo. So no Sicily yet, but hopefully soon. So that's awesome. Next up, we have the CCS proposal for continued development on XMR Bitcoin atomic swaps. It's open for funding, so if you can go ahead and contribute money, it's really, really important. This is to mature the atomic swaps ecosystem, XMR to Bitcoin, just in case in the future it's going to be really, really hard to get Monero, but they will allow Bitcoin because it's not really a threat. It's important to have these atomic swaps, right? Because you can take your Bitcoin and just swap it for Monero securely. So whatever amount you have, go ahead and contribute. It's a really important project. Okay. Now let's talk about, this was posted by Chila on Twitter. So she said, so the article says, Bitcoin stolen in 238 million breach fails to get privacy shield returned to original address. Essentially, the stolen Bitcoin was moved across Torchain, KuCoin, ChangeNow, Railgun, and the Avalanche bridge. 4,064 Bitcoin was divided into smaller chunks in an attempt to make it difficult to trace the funds back to the original source. However, when the hackers attempted to use a Railgun to shield the funds, the stolen Bitcoin did not meet the criteria for privacy within Railgun, so it was unshielded and just sent back, which is awful. So it's just another reason to use Monero. You don't have to worry about all this stuff, and you can just send, receive, and it's just private. So that's the beautiful thing about it. It's really easy. Like, you can probably teach your grandma for sure how to use it. If she can just send and receive, then she's going to be protected. Yeah. Then moving on. States are beginning to adopt digital driver's licenses. Biden may supercharge, of course, the transition. Now, all this stuff becoming digital, like money and digital IDs, they sound good. Because personally, I don't want to carry stuff around. Like, I forget my ID or whatever. It'll be nice to have it in my phone. But not the way they want it. So essentially what this article says, and I believe it for sure, you're going to have, they're laying the groundwork for a wider acceptance of digital identifications. So you're going to have your driver license on your smartphone, but now when you go online, you're going to need to be verified with your license. So you can't access any more websites that mandate that you need to be 18 or plus, whatever that might be. Or you can, just a lot of bad things, a lot of restrictions. So this is probably going to be implemented eventually, but it's absolutely horrible if it's going the way we all think that it's going to go. So how soon are they going to come? Probably soon. But also Apple, Google, and government agencies like the Transportation Security Administration and state-level regulators who issue driver licenses are all trying to build systems that will allow Americans to carry identity documents on their smartphones. And frictionlessly submit them to both government and private sector websites for verification with the tap of a button. So essentially it's going to be really, really easy to just verify yourself, and then you're going to be at the mercy of whatever you can or cannot do on the internet based on your age or whatever they think you can access or not. So who knows? I mean, maybe you got to put in your little driver license, and then you go to Monerotopia.com. That's going to be blocked. You just can't access that anymore. Yeah, some dark stuff coming.
And you probably won't be able to use open source software. So good luck using something like Graphene in that case.
Yeah,
that's going to be a big issue, because I don't think those kinds of systems are going to work very well with open source software. Because why would they?
And it's all in the direction of trying to make it more, how should I say, to protect the user and to make it easier for the end user, the citizen. But in the end, it's just going to become a 1984 situation. Moving on. So this is really exciting. Monero posted on Twitter, we're excited to share that a pull request has been made for the full chain membership proofs integration into Monero. The pull request is a work in progress and will be improved upon and reviewed to ensure soundness of the implementation. So then you can go ahead and GitHub and look at more details. But yeah, it's really exciting stuff. Moving on. So somebody listed a car on XMR Bazaar. Bigger items are starting to be listed on XMR Bazaar, and it's getting quite a bit of traction. Dogs wrote on Twitter, or X, sorry, perfect Monero ride, 1996, pre-spy tech. If you were stick, I'd consider it just for the story. Who's going to grab it? So you can buy a 1996 BMW for 16.57 Monero. And that's in Lake City, Florida. So if you're in Florida and you're looking to buy a BMW with Monero, go to XMR Bazaar and purchase it.
So, I want a motorcycle. I want a cafe racer style motorcycle.
Oh,
or the one that we were looking at earlier, like that kind of like a dirt bike, city bike.
Are they on sale? Are they on
Put it
sale?
up, people. What's that?
Somebody put them up on XMR Bazaar, like a motorcycle?
There's somebody put, but it was in Chile. It was in Chile.
Oh, nice.
That's
awesome.
I was proposing I'd have to buy it and ride it back up to New York. It would be amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Motorcycle Diaries.
Go ahead. Privacy OG on YouTube. Australia already using digital driver license. Yep. Some countries already. Then we have China with WeChat and all kinds of stuff. So I guess if you want a glimpse into the future, just look at China, Australia, UK, and then you'll see what's gonna come to America eventually. Antidarknet. So essentially, we have this group called the Antidarknet that recently claimed responsibility for the spam attack on the Monero network. So they wrote, "We are Antidarknet, a collective dedicated to disrupt darknet operators and their websites, drug trades, illegal hacking, fraud, CP." They said, so their philosophy is, which is important, we believe darknet websites, group or communities are a positive thing. However, we don't agree on these websites spreading CP, human or animal abuse, facilitating heavy drug sales or other subhuman activities. Darknet is a way for people to express themselves and cultivate new ideas in an anonymous way. Our belief is it should be done so without breaking the law, or instances where the law needs changing without human suffering. So, and that's why they conducted attacks. And then they said Black Marble attack. We did find the name Black Marble unfitting. However, we have accepted it and we will refer it as such throughout the post-press release. So the attack was done in a very simplistic way and without much scripting. So that's interesting that they actually came forward. And I guess they didn't want to attack Monero directly. They wanted to attack the darknet markets, and Monero was what's being used on it. But we have Dog on X, and
it was great research, and they basically spent funds on improving Monero by forcing additional development.
Exactly.
It was
yeah, because that's that whole thing where the block size wasn't increasing very quickly, and so transactions were taking a long time. And then after that happened, they're like, "Oh shoot, we need to fix this," and so they fixed the block size thingy.
Yeah, so if you guys are seeing this and you want to hop live on the show anonymously, if you wish.
Yeah. Good point. I tried to reach out to them. Would love to have them on the show and talk to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's get them down to Monerotopia. Get them on a panel. Tell us why Monero should be shut down.
We can provide anonymous masks, whatever you want. Just if you're coming. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Then the last two things that we have are videos. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then share it again. Okay. Okay, so let's watch this one. Russel Brand says that privacy is under threat and that Bitcoin has the potential to be exploited by governments and become a device for control, surveillance, and censorship. So let's go ahead and watch this. It's almost 2 minutes.
It's interesting that really Edward Snowden was a person that told us that privacy itself was under threat, that privacy would become a commodity. And underneath privacy, the emotional idea of shame, which is a kind of ubiquitous and at least humanly universal phenomena. And the idea that shame can be exploited to control people is oddly primal, given that what we're ostensibly discussing is advanced technology, cryptocurrencies, ethereal means of transaction that are sometimes difficult to even comprehend unless you understand that world. And yet, as is often the case, it will come down to something extraordinarily human, like the feelings of deep shame or a need for privacy or a need to exclude or control or set aside information. It reminds me of the idea that for a long
time. Did we lose it?
Oh no, what happened? Sound.
Did we lose Tony or did we just lose the video?
Oh, it's not playing? Why is it not playing?
It was playing and then the sound stopped.
And then it just stopped.
The sound stopped.
Couple seconds ago, or?
Yeah.
Constitutes shame or fear. You've got nothing to. It reminds me of the idea that for a long time people said if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Well, who can say that these days when there are continually shifting parameters when it comes to what constitutes shame or fear? So if Edward Snowden's concerned about it, it's presumably something that we should all pay attention to. And Bitcoin, which is being presented and understood, and I suppose in an ideal situation is an opportunity to transact outside of institutions of control and hopefully corruption. Even Bitcoin, Edward Snowden warns, has the potential.
Sound died again.
Shit. At the most important part.
Oh, it happened again? I'm really not sure why it's doing that.
Yep.
Go back. I want to hear. I haven't heard this clip yet, so I got to hear this.
Institutions of control and hopefully corruption. Even Bitcoin, Edward Snowden warns, has the potential to become yet another device for control, manipulation, surveillance, and I suppose ultimately censorship.
Let's get him on the show. Somebody said
going mainstream. Get him using XMR chat to get his super chats. Oh my god, he's so intelligent. This guy, I love the way he expresses points. Right, he like the way he describes things. He's an excellent communicator. Was that the whole clip?
Yeah, that was the whole clip. We have MeGold666 on YouTube saying that I told many times that we should invite him to Monero Talk.
Yeah, obviously he's invited. We got to get him. yeah. So yeah, anybody that wants to try to get him on, go for it. Reach out to him.
Yep. Then we have last video. This one is from Copamonero.
Oh yeah, this is cool.
Bien, estamos con Freddy Ayala. Él es fotógrafo profesional, trabaja en Copamonero, fotógrafo oficial de Copamonero. Y queríamos preguntarle a Freddy cómo se siente, cuál es su experiencia trabajando hasta esta fecha 3 de Copamonero y para lo que queda al final, que queda ya unos partidos, semifinales y la final.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Como decía acá el amigo, soy Freddy, fotógrafo de la Copamonero y estoy muy contento, muy cómodo trabajando y la verdad que es muy lindo lo que está este evento y nada, estoy muy cómodo, trabajando muy cómodo y sobre todo con la moneda que es criptomoneda, que estamos haciendo una inversión muy buena y demás, que obviamente acá le cambiamos el peso y nos sirve un montón.
¿Cómo te sentiste con los primeros pagos que has recibido en cripto y luego lo has cambiado por pesos?
Para mí es increíble, una experiencia increíble porque por esta zona es algo que el cambio fue muy bueno y la verdad que ayudó un montón y así que estoy muy cómodo, como te lo había dicho, así que ojalá que siga esto para más.
So this is behind the scenes, right? So Copamonero, you watch a game, that's just the tip of the iceberg here. We got people behind the scenes using Monero, accepting Monero to make Copamonero possible. It's actually amazing.
You know, like I was actually thinking, so what if I told you 5 years ago that you're gonna have your own championship in Argentina? It's crazy.
It was just so random. I went there and we're hanging out in the stadium. I'm like, we got to do a Copamonero, and then we all kind of like laughed about. Oh no, the conversation happened actually in Buenos Aires before we headed out to Formosa, and I was sitting around the table. It was after a Monero meetup. It was like the last couple of members left from the Monero meetup, and Sunita and I, and we all just, we were drinking some beers and we started. Yeah, we were smoking some weed and brainstorming about Formosa, Monero Town, and we came up with Copamonero. And sure enough, we brought it to fruition.
See, the weed is.
It was definitely the weed because I'm not much of a drinker these days. I don't even think I had beer. Yeah, guys.
Yeah, so guys, this was the news section. But I saw last on. He wrote on the private chat that he has a couple news. So maybe we can transition into the viewers on stage and go and give Alaska the...
Yes. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Great job, Tony. That was fantastic. Let's see. Viewers on stage segment. Let's go.
It's the viewers on stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
All righty. Alaska, what's up, bro?
Having a great day, man. How's it sound?
Good. You look good, man. You look clean. You look clean shaven.
Yeah.
Or clean trimmed.
I get cleaned up about once a year, whether I need it or not, man. It's really easy to end up like just the rugged, creature from the mountainous realms of the Arctic.
How do you not go down that route if you're in? Yeah, I mean, if I was living your life, I'd be a madman.
I just hope that
I'll tell you that
you use soap frequently enough.
my firearms are always like spotless and well lubricated, but my skin is usually dry and cracking, and my beard is usually tangled with branches and so there was a couple of things though that when it comes to the Monero community, like we probably have more people interested in like dev stuff than most, but it's still like there are all of these things that completely fly under the radar in the mainstream that a few of them recently are absolutely like, I mean, these are some legendary developments that I don't think people realize. The first one that I wanted to point out though was some of the fixes to the back end of Cake Wallet are pretty impressive. Like the last they did some stuff with like synchronization and the way that they handle errors and stuff. And I won't go into a whole bunch of details other than to just say like they've put so much energy into making a sustainable and like more effective product in ways that a user who just uses it like normal may not see. But then there was also I mean, all of this just happened like back to back to back in the last month, and it's gotten to the point where I think we should point it out. Like there was like major gains in like multi-sig and view only stuff from like not just Haveno, but also like a bunch of upstream stuff to Monero, just the code in general. And if you look at some of the patch notes on like Haveno right now, it's like groundbreaking stuff, right? Like because the thing is other people can come along and use these advancements for their own projects like very easily. But then Justin Berman actually released like, I mean, it's like good reading material if you're relatively technically savvy on like breaking down in much greater detail like the Rust and C++ stuff that they've been doing and the way that they're integrating all of this incredible code that they've been putting together. But a lot of that has to do with synchronization. I didn't finish reading it in time, but like just the things that are being done with synchronization on the back end of all of these different code bases are incredible, right? And people don't realize just how much that affects like what can be done on top of your code, or what can be done like along with just using your wallets, or just using your, which brings it into the XMR rig stuff. Like people who mine on a larger scale, or like people in Alaska who heat their house with it or whatever, the changes that they made to XMR rig and the ability to like consolidate and centralized servers like for your own personal functions, it's really impressive. So becoming like a serious miner has never been easier. Cool. Yeah, and like it's hard to express just how important that is for Monero's security, that these things keep going forward at the speed that they're going forward. And whoever the team is at XM Rig, they're badass. Like they're clearly just plugging away every single day.
Abdullah is very excited about the idea of adding miners to the product line. The
timing is amazing
of Monero Nodo.
Yeah, like he's been Nodo and XM Rig, like the improvements, the timing is perfect, right? Where you can have a whole bunch of people just plug and play, having their own like light wallets, having their own nodes and all that stuff.
But he's looking into developing a miner, right? Like
an and that would be like the next logical step, But then the only other two that I thought was just somebody has to say something about this. For people who had not been keeping up with the whole StressNet project, there's been some interesting revelations on like the really edge case, like periphery stuff about just how Monero works in like really abstract and weird cases.
We're gonna have Rucknium on, by the way. So
then I will say nothing because there's
go. He's not on today. He's not on today.
Well, just as a primer to that. The idea of running a StressNet the way that Rucknium has been trying to. I think that he's building a really strong knowledge base for future improvements into the immutability of Monero. And there's definitely a long ways to go, because the thing is, with any kind of like testing case, you have to test before you can test. As weird as that may sound to some people, you have to first use some waves of tests to figure out which direction you need to go to get more information on what you need to know. But it looks like it's been successful. Like there's a direction to go for further improvements to Monero's like core ecosystem. And then I like to believe that it's been the social pressure, but you remember we talked last week about CipherTrace removing their claim about Monero tracking, right? There seems to be a lot of like, I don't know, redeeming shit talk on the internet. Like it really makes the community as a whole looks very redeemed on this. That they're just not even trying to pretend like they can do anything about tracking Monero. And then on top of that, the issues that we've known forever, like we're looking at an efficient path to integrating, like eliminating the ring signature weakness entirely. Not that it's a bad system. Ring signatures are actually like awesome, but to go all the way to the path that we have ahead, like even the edge cases of like if you really wanted to unmask like one or two transactions, I mean that has basically gone out the window with some of these other developments that have been going on. And you really want to read what Justin Berman wrote. You know, Justin Berman speaks like an angelic language of, you know, super brilliant people that a lot of us plebs, I mean, you've really got to do your homework just to keep up with what's being said there. But it's worth knowing if you're interested.
Berman will be at Monerotopia, obviously.
Yeah, and I really hope that he goes into this in further detail. Like and the case for why people need to go to Monerotopia has never been stronger. The people that are building this ecosystem into the next level, them all being there, and the chance for them to even just dialogue amongst each other face to face is probably going to lead to a whole nother layer. But I just wanted to make sure that this stuff isn't getting missed on like the talk show for Monero, that like what's happening on the back end of this software, especially in the last month, is amazing. And you're not seeing this kind of development in most of the crypto space, where like I guess it's like a little less sexy, right? Like because it doesn't like capture the attention of the mainstream audience. But the reality is the technology is on course to work better and better than ever before. And this last month has set it in stone. Like the amount of development effort going into this stuff is incredible. And I think the XMRig stuff is especially interesting because it's harder to have a strong hash rate with something like Monero, as far as like, let's say pound for pound or whatever. But by XMRig making it that much easier to mine, now we can unlock the potential of the billions of CPUs out there, where, you know, they can fire up a few, just dedicate a core or two, and it offers the opportunity to improve Monero's hash rate tremendously. And it takes less hash rate to get the same kind of security performance already for Monero. But the level of distribution that you could see from this kind of progress is amazing. And I would like to hear if anybody else has been keeping up with it, what they have to say. But I have nothing bad to say about any of those projects. Like they're on the right path.
Wait, Slave Blocker, hold on one second. I just want to get the word out. We have 863 live viewers. Jump up, people. Let's get some new voices up here. You don't need to show your face. You can if you want. But let's get some new people up here. Each week we seem to be getting another new amazing individual. So let's keep that going. That's how we help grow things. From wherever you are in the world, jump up if you can communicate. And it's with regards to Monero or opting out. jump up on the screen. Go ahead, take it away.
With XMRig, that's the preferred mining software that I use. There is the option to have a proxy, like if you have 10 mining machines directed at the mining pool, then yeah, you use the proxy, and the proxy connects directly to the pool, such that the hash rate is more efficiently from your side. But what specifically were you talking about, Alaska?
No, we got Pierre up here as well.
It sounds to me like the proxy is what he was talking about, the fact that you can submit multiple miners into a thing and then use like P2 pool or whatever. That would be with the proxy itself.
Oh, okay. Because that has been around for a while. And the nice thing is that in the last 3 weeks or 1 month, the hash rate has been rising from 2.3 gigahashes. It went all the way up to 2.9, and now it's gone back down again to 2.5, and it has stayed there. So it was rather organic adoption, I guess.
Nice to hear. We got Pierre. We got a new face. Pierre, what's going on, man?
Hello, hello everyone.
Your internet is in the bed. Well, no, we could hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, right. Okay.
It's breaking up. It's breaking up.
Does he have video on? Because if he does,
yeah, maybe just go no video.
Yeah, turn off video. That's generally the first thing to do.
If you could try to get better internet, even better. Yeah, he's frozen.
Do you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, try turning off your video.
It's good.
Just go no video.
Yeah, I'm Pierre from Sortie de Banque. In French, it means bank exit. And our main objective is to make people leave the bank. And the solution we moved to is Bitcoin plus Monero, and we have a hard focus on Monero. And so I'm happy Sunita just replied to me, and it would be okay to be on Monerotopia for a short talk.
Sure. Yeah.
So thank you very much. And so the main focus we have for now is the Monero map. So Monero-map.org. And so for now it's like a draft, but the V2 is going like late September, I think. And the idea is to have the merchant map of all merchants that accept Monero, and the data comes directly from OpenStreetMap. So if you want, you can start label your shop with Monero currency, and then it appears directly to a Monero map. So the idea is to ease the use of this cryptocurrency as a mean of payment of every day.
How does it get auto added to the map? By the way, we need to. I'm sure you're familiar with XMR Bazaar, right?
Yes.
We could figure out how to work with you guys. So what you're building helps add more business listings to XMR Bazaar. That'd be amazing.
Yes, I discovered your map, and I thought this is perfect. This is brilliant. We can mix the goods and the shops, and this way people think it's very dynamic and they start shopping.
Fantastic.
And yeah, there is something else we are thinking about that will maybe change a lot of things. The way they view Monero, maybe for older people. So I will talk about it later. But for now, yeah, it's Monero map, and we have for now I think there is 10 of shops in France that accept Monero. So yeah, you can go to Monero Monero. How do you say hyphen? I don't know, like not understand the other one.
Now, are the shops adding themselves, or you guys are adding the shops?
For now, we are adding for them because they don't know, but there is already a tutorial, so they can do themselves if just they create an OpenStreetMap account. So it takes 2 minutes, and then it appears on the map. On the V2, it will appear automatically. So the idea is to contribute everyone.
Very cool. Very cool.
Just
yeah,
to
man. Love to
answer
see.
Slave Blocker real quick. I put a link to the GitHub in the chat for you, buddy, about them adding Yada to XMRig, and then the other. I was going to the bathroom. I'm sorry. I heard you
What
talking.
is Yada? No, because the proxy has been here for a while, and kudos to the Monero map. It's great. I just opened it.
Yeah, the other thing about the proxy though that I was getting at was there was some issues with certain Unix systems and certain APIs that was making it difficult for like let's say like a more simpleton individual to use XMRig. That they've really made it a lot easier for like a novice to use those same systems. That's what I was getting at, is like it will be a huge improvement for both API functions and certain Unix systems. And that's what I was getting at. Not that they added centralized mining, but that it became way more usable for most cases. So, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
Because they always have the binary.
Not responding. What's that?
We have a super chat here, and it looks like it's directed at Pierre because I believe it's in French. Pierre, can you read this?
Thank you, Praying Lentis. Yes, j'aime les belles personnes françaises. Is like I like the beautiful people, French people.
And you got $1.69. Damn, man. You got to start streaming with XMR chat.
Yeah. I think it's
it's the new OnlyFans.
For me.
Oh dear Lord!
It was inevitable, guys. It was inevitable.
To combine what we do in Europe, what you are doing in America, North America, and I think that right now I made a tour of what has been done, and already there are Monero payment requests, there are Aveno DEX, there is basic swap DEX, everything. We just need to put them together, and to combine them, and I think it's the right time to do this. So more and more people, can start to use it like everyday money, I think, and also focus on the older ones, because most of the time they own the shops, the older people, so they own the shop, they got the money. So I think we need to embed them with us.
Yeah, for sure. We're adding translations to XMR Bazaar initially just for the structure of the site, but then we're looking into ways to add it for the profiles and the listings themselves. I think that's important. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in helping out and growing XMR Bazaar to the French community. So we're trying to team up with people, Spanish speakers in Latin America. I'm trying to get different people in different regions that could help grow it in their native language.
Yeah, we can definitely. If you send me a link or Telegram, it's
awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, man, we could have you on another time as well if you want to, officially be the special guest. You just jumped up here at the end, but we'll have you on again officially as a special guest. Any chance we get you to come down to Monerotopia?
I could not. I will not be able to be physically because I have something very important, like with farmers, with angry farmers in France. So it's very important. So I would.
How are you involved in that?
My question was like the deal with farmers and XMR, because there's been rumblings in the dark web about this. If you don't mind,
tell us.
Yeah. It's the ultimate goal. If we have the farmers, the food producers to use Monero like just a hammer, the hammer is just a tool, it can be for bad, it can be for good. If you explain the farmers that we have to quit fiat, quit European Union, etc., a lot of them know they are threatened, so they seek solutions. And when we arrive with simple XMR tools, simple map, simple everything, they can go to this because they have no more solutions. So this is a way out.
Fantastic. So you're going to be actively trying to onboard the farmers to using Monero?
Yeah.
Has there been any adoption already among these group of people, or are you guys just kind of bringing this idea to them?
It's quite slow, you know, because they are not so technical. So that's the point of very simple websites and apps. But we already onboarded, not me, but we onboarded the first farmer that accepts Bitcoin and Bitcoin Lightning, and very proud. It is on the btcmap.org already.
Does he ship internationally?
Only in France, maybe Europe, I think, for now.
Okay.
But it costs
Fantastic. Once again, perfect example. You get on XMR Bazaar, right? This is how I love that you're doing this, man. Maybe if you can't attend Monerotopia, maybe we get you to do a remote talk on what you're doing over there in terms of trying to grow adoption in France.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
That would be
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Is there anybody else new that's trying to jump on right now? Let me show you. Oh no, we got Monero Bro.
Yo, let's go.
What's up, Monero Bro?
Yo, let's go.
Hello.
Monero Bro.
Yeah, I jumped in because I saw Perry coming in. So I'm a fan of him, fan of his work. And yeah, I'm following him quite time now. I think he's one of the best, if not the best of I think the marketing. And I think people should have a look on his Telegram. He got nice examples, flyers, and yeah, I mean, I was like trying to follow it, but it's all in French. So you know, needs to do some job to translate it, and then yeah, get some ideas and inspirations of him. And that's the thing, he done a lot of job. You just need to maybe copy it, customize it a little bit for your own maybe locals. And yeah, I think maybe you should start an English Telegram group as well. So I love to see more of him. Yeah. Keep up the job.
In short, so thank you very much. You can translate or open a Telegram, translate it.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you have one.
Barayan tip 25 cents. I have already added 2 local exchanges in Armenia to XMR Bazaar and Moneromap.org by creating OpenStreetMap entries. Awesome. Thanks, Pierre, for Moneromap.
For those of you who don't know what OpenStreetMap is in a lot of ways it acts as an alternative to Google Maps. It works amazingly well, and it works on graphene. And you can also store all of the most updated maps locally to your device. If you are not using OpenStreetMaps, I strongly encourage you to not only start using it, but support the project. And the best way you can support the project, even better than money, is to add information to OpenStreetMaps. And it's awesome, awesome stuff.
Very cool. Very cool.
And it does work. OpenStreetMap works really, really well. But as Alaska said, the information thing is the biggest deal, because some places with a good OpenStreetMap community are really, really well mapped. And then
better mapped than maps like Google Maps.
And then other places
in Alaska, that's true for sure. Like the rural communities, it's way better to use OMS or OSM than it is to use like Google Maps.
And on Android, the app is OSMAND on the F-Droid store. So
yeah, the plus version is definitely the best way to go. And then download your maps locally to your device, because you'll never know when. Well, you just never know. Let's say that.
Guys, we got a lot of views today. We're showing 924.
It's Pierre
right now.
Is that views on
it's
Pierre?
Twitter? I think Seth obviously helped that out as well. I mean, as obviously I think we looked into this, and I don't think it's actually. It shows 891 on Twitter, but I don't think that's live views. I think that's the amount of people that have been in the room. But it looks impressive because it's next to the highest one on my phone right now is Real American Voice. I always see them up there on top. So
I just want to remind you, Doug,
it does
that
bring in a lot of people.
I don't know anybody who is watching this on a platform that they're tracked. Everybody.
Well, we got a lot of people on X, man, so it is
Yeah.
good too. I mean, it's the tip of the iceberg, but you're telling me the iceberg is much larger than.
Yeah, the people that I know who watch the show, they're all watching it on like New Pipe, which, as Bawdy always says, shout out to New Pipe. You're doing God's work, right? But like the New Pipe, you're not getting any of those views, man. You're well into the thousands, I guarantee it. And I mean, it's XMR, right? Like nobody is watching this on trackable software. This is the only thing I do where you can track any of my activities is like this one show. So
that's amazing.
That's the reason the Monero Talk channel only has 9,710 subscribers or whatever, because everybody who watches it doesn't.
I mean, even I'm not subscribed. I'm not willing to go that far.
Yeah,
bro. Like,
neither am I. I don't even have a Google account, so I can't.
I know. It shows. But then you see when we have a conference or we do a thing, the amount of like real people that we have that follow us. It's amazing, as opposed to some of these accounts that have, hundreds of thousands of views, but do they actually have a community?
I mean, I'm just telling you right now, Doug, it's a good thing that you have such a positive attitude, because like you trying to look famous on the internet in a crowd full of like hardcore dark anons, right? Like it's like watching a kicked puppy just get back up and come waggling at you. It's like, we're gonna be famous, and you're like literally already famous, but no one will ever know, right? Like no one will ever know how many people actually.
I don't want to be famous. I want to get out. We just got to get Monero to 1,000, and then you won't hear from me again. No, I'll be around. I'll be building out. I'll be using my Monero. Dude, XMR Bazaar has me so excited. Just like it's literally building my dream as I see it get larger. It's literally the tool that I'll be using to opt out, and it's working. It's just, it's right there. Like, I have conversations with Sunita, and she's like, well, what, you never sell or whatever. Like, no, well, we're gonna use. I mean, Alaska, right? We're looking at a freaking ranch in Formosa, right? If we could purchase that with Monero, I mean, that's amazing. What else do you need at that point? You're truly opting out and living off of this stuff.
And just so you know, the ranch is just a piece of a much larger portfolio that at some point we'll talk about. But it's, I mean, the ranch is the most recent addition to things that are. So a lot of them are way farther along. And when you come up to visit next summer, I'm sure you'll get to see like just how far this goes.
I think a couple of things we need are just the very, very basics. So like if somebody would like sell bales of hay on XMR Bazaar, or like feed, like different animal feeds for cows and horses and things like that, I think that would help a lot too.
The second largest feed importer in Alaska already does.
Another strategy, if I can intervene, a strategy would be to have local elected people. We are trying to do this. Local elected people, not really the mayor of the small town, but someone to push first to train them about and teach them about Monero, and then to have the agreement to do a local market, that with the vegetables and the fruits,
yeah,
whole thing. And this way, maybe it could create a small core of citizens that get used to it and buy their vegetables with Monero, and that would be something not to be too much cypherpunk, because cypherpunk at home alone, etc., in the dark. Here it's just another vision to say, okay, Monero just a tool, and if the elected people take advantage of it. Maybe for the town, it's very better for them, for the citizen, and start with the local market. Maybe it's like a local XMR bazaar, you know. I think it's another strategy. Yeah.
I love it.
We have like demonstrable cases of it improving the economic virility with Formosa. You know, that's a, like, statistically speaking, it's a hard place to live economically. And everybody who's switched to Monero, not only are they thriving, but look at how much their bags have pumped, right? Like, everybody who entered the Monero economy in Formosa right now, if you look like when they came on board versus now, just the bags that they hold in terms of dollars or pesos or whatever have exploded. So, like, this is the first time they've even had a decent savings vehicle with any real liquidity in a very, very long time, like almost 100 years. And that's one of the things that Bawdy was breaking down so eloquently earlier today about, like, it is true that Gresham's law has that effect of, you know, people don't want to spend the high value stuff into the economy. But on the flip side, you have to remember that there's also the demand, right? If people want to be paid in Monero, it offsets a lot of that, like, hoarding effect that Gresham's law. It's really one-sided, weighted towards the crappy currency, right? Like, the fiats, people try really hard to spend them, and then the demand for them goes down. But with something like Monero, the demand for the Monero so effectively offsets people's desire to hold it as a savings vehicle. And it's only like
that's such a good point. It's such a good point. Like, you look at XMR Bazaar. I mean, I'm looking when I pull it up, and I look at the site, and then you see the price on top. Right now, it's one XMR is 174. I mean, anybody that's visiting that, the psychology there is, I need to get more Monero. How do I do that? I use this platform to sell goods and services to do so. I think that's really going to it's such a good point to ignore that demand of wanting to obtain Monero as the price goes up.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that XMR Bazaar actually showed the price. At least I don't ever see it on the mobile side.
Yeah, it does.
Huh, I don't see that on the mobile side. Where is it?
Yeah, I'll bring it up right now. On the mobile, I believe it does.
The new Binance or Kraken to buy crypto.
There it is on top.
To buy crypto.
So I think it was Aaron Day, but also me. So when I did the interview, and I think I heard Aaron Day say the same thing, it might not have been on a Monero Talk interview, but one of our premises for XMR was it'll act like a stable coin because it's pegged to real value, but it'll go up in like a stair step type fashion as the circular economy grows and as the utility grows, and it'll set new, like, price stable ranges. And I have a sneaking suspicion that that's what's going on right now. It may help that that the shadowy cabal is, you know, trying to acquire. I mean, we just watched it go up again just now, but there's probably some truth to the fact that, like, a new price floor is building based on the circular economy, and it probably will. I mean, I guess you could say, like, 180 will be the new 140, right? Remember how it was like the 140 price was just like this immutable fact of life for Monero for like 2 years or whatever.
Yeah, I think the consulting services is one of the most exciting use cases for XMR Bazaar, because you're really opening up a new market. People that have no money, right? When you have no money, like, because there's different ways to get Monero. Is obviously work for it, which I think is the best way, mine it, or use the money you have to trade into it. But the marketplace of people that don't really have any money at all, that live somewhere, on the other side of the world from the Western world, where they really have no means, but they have an internet connection. They can now earn digital cash directly without losing any fees and get that in their pocket. I think that opens up a whole new economy, because there's really no other tool that allows them to do that right now. They don't have access to PayPal. There's so obviously Bitcoin should have been the tool that would have performed that function, but it just failed in that use case. And so I think that's
on
the
that
most
level,
exciting.
Doug, I think that the single biggest, let's call it the black swan of pricing and labor, right? So in America, the example would be the child support system, and then child custody laws. There are a absolute massive labor pool of people, and this is illegal, so we are not officially endorsing this, but I am. But Monerotopia is not. Like the thing is the child support laws are mostly targeted towards high value labor pools. And so there is a price arbitrage in the thousands of dollars a month that incentivizes being paid in Monero as opposed to fiat Fed notes. And it is explicitly averse to things like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and so on. And then if you add into that the fact that you can get discounts by spending Monero, so somebody who might be worth, let's say they're worth $25 in the general labor pool to a business, okay, but that same person will accept $15 an hour in Monero because they can get out from underneath child support payments. They can get out from underneath wage garnishing mechanisms. The government has already built into the labor market a massive incentive for people to use Monero for labor. And the minute that people figure this out, it is off to the races. Because now I, as an employer in the industry that I'm in, I can't make use of this at my own business, right? Yet. But on the flip side, like let's say you're building a shed in your backyard and there's a skilled carpenter that has child support payments. That person has a strong incentive to offer you a better price in Monero. And then the other thing is, now the like the lumber or the concrete or whatever that person would be interested in buying, they have every incentive to cut out they might charge 10% on whatever they pay for lumber or whatever. They have an incentive to have you buy the lumber package, giving you a further 10% discount on the construction costs of your shed. Now, this is replicatable in almost every industry. And labor and business to business are the two largest forces in economics other than government itself. And government is also part of those two pools. So the thing is with labor and business to business having these massive economic incentives, we talked about the business to business many times on the show, but for those of you that don't know, the friction cost in transactions for business is absolutely horrendous, right? So anytime that they could switch to Monero, the financial incentive is already there. But now on top of that, you have an even larger financial incentive to switch on the labor pool side. And then you also have the taxation layers and all that other stuff. You force taxation to become voluntary with a system like Monero. So there you go.
I would like to start selling my old miners for.
So hold on. Yeah, I just want to get the Me Gold tipped. Amazing analysis, by the way, Alaska. Thank you. Tipped. Holy shit, $99. How much you tip? 90. I will watch it later as I have to go. Keep it up, Doug. Cheers to all. Wow, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. $100 tip. All tips are going towards the further development and marketing of XMRchat.com. Unless noted otherwise. I gave them to Vlad the other day when he streamed. I gave him all his tips that we received that day.
Hey, Doug, real quick. You should add your XMR. Sorry, you should add your XMR chat link to your weekly Monerotopia post.
Oh, word. Yes, we'll do. I think Untraceable will mention that too. Thank you. How's it going, man? Drunk Dial.
Good.
How you doing?
Good. Speaking of the ranch, if anyone knows of an Argentinian real estate lawyer in Argentina that would accept Monero, or could be accepts Bitcoin, but could be talked into using Monero, I've got a bounty on Twitter to help push this project forward. So there's a 1 Monero reward if you can put me in contact with a lawyer that could help work on a business transaction.
Fantastic. You should put that as a post on XMR Bazaar too. We could spread that around. Alessandro could spread that around too. But that's very nice that you're putting a bounty out there for that. You'll definitely get some hits. Guys, I'm gonna let you guys go on your own here. I have to step back. I'll be listening in the background. Shortwave, are you good with exiting once everybody's?
I can exit.
All right. You might have to corral people in. I don't know. This could last another 15 minutes or it could last another 2 hours, which you never know. You never know. Whatever Alaska's feeling like.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
I have a roofing project that's like calling my name, but I'm going to stick around at least a little longer.
Shortwave, are you able to bring up super chats if they come up?
Oh no, I'm not.
Can you see the chat? Can you see
I can keep an eye on it, but we might not be able to bring them up. But I can at least read them.
Yeah, if you can, I can't bring them up, but if you can read them,
okay,
Alaska,
we got to show you how to bring them up because you do have access to it, right? You see the chat screen, like you see the comments.
He won't be able to read it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not that. It's me having to magnify in and out and pan. And zoom.
Okay.
It makes
Amazing,
it more difficult.
Yeah. No worries. All right, guys. I'm going to be listening in the background. Keep it going.
All right. Actually, I might be able to read them off my phone too. But
Hey, I just wanted to bust in. I had an idea that I wanted to throw at Seth for privacy, but I don't think he's on anymore, about light wallets. I was thinking it'd be cool if light wallets automatically synced the blockchain in the background, so it wouldn't be light on storage, but it'd be light on speed. And then whenever the wallet's synced, it would default to not using third-party nodes. So the more you use it, the more private it is, and the more refreshed and up-to-date the sync is. It would take up just as much room as a regular synced wallet, but it would be faster for kind of noobs.
So basically, it's like half light wallet, half full node wallet.
Yeah, it would always bias or it always default to fully synced whenever possible. So some people were mentioning that they're frequent wallet users, so it takes very little time to sync and they don't even notice it. But for people who are infrequent users, the sync time really is kind of brutal sometimes. So they might go to light wallets, but that dependency isn't great. So if light wallets just kind of by default tried to sync while the wallets were open and in use, the more they use it, the more likely they are to get off of that third-party node ecosystem.
That really is the beautiful thing about this whole Nodo idea, though, where it's like if you're syncing to your own node, you haven't really lost any of the security of running your wallet as a node. I mean, as long as you are running the node, like what is the like, I guess maybe your node could get hacked somehow, but I just don't really see any like loss in quality by using a light wallet that connects to a personally hosted node on a separate computer. And that's definitely my favorite thing about the Nodo project. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think it was a good place to start. And then like, you know, building a mining rig and all that other stuff.
Oh, the Nodo's badass. I'm very much looking forward to getting mine. But I'm just saying for like kind of more general superficial users, it's better they're not relying on third-party nodes whenever they can get away from it.
I'm hoping that we get to the point though where the ubiquitous nature of like the use of Monero, like every church group has their own node that, like, you know, grandpa connects to that node with his Feather wallet and just like doesn't even notice, you know. I mean, like I kind of have this vision in my head of like community nodes where every different group of people has their community node that they can connect to with their light wallets if they don't use Monero like a whole lot or whatever. You know, that, and then like even have just a, like they just QR code scan linking to that node and it just does it for you. You know, I mean, I think that we could get there pretty quickly with the current path of Monero.
Or yeah, if you're buying a cup of coffee every day and you're opening it and it's syncing right then, you wouldn't even notice it if you're using it that frequently. So that'd be cool to see too.
This is kind of fun. So in Alaska, we have these, there's like a coffee shop every like half mile, and they're little like sheds and they're drive-through coffee shops. Then they're literally fucking everywhere, right? Because, you know, like there's that period of where it's always dark and it's always cold and you're always working, right? And so like drive-through coffee shops are like a major thing in Alaska, like more than anywhere else. And they're all like small businesses, and they're all like, I mean, there's a few small businesses that own multiple shops or whatever. But I've thought a whole bunch about the fact that like all of these people, like they get in the queue with their car, and then the speed at which they could sync if they're doing it daily, they get into the queue, they open up their Monero wallet, and they're synced by the time they get their coffee. And that's the first thing that they do every day, right? So, and one of the reasons why I think it would be such an easy sell is because they already all use like a tablet with squares, you know, Square or whatever, right? They're already getting burned by these transaction fees on the cards, and they're already like, it's already phone to phone transactions with like Apple Pay and stuff all the time. And what you could do is you could have like a Monero enthusiast in like Arctic weather gear or whatever at peak traffic season. You get the shop owner on board first, and then you have somebody standing there like one shop a day handing out a pamphlet about like why use Monero and how it would benefit the local economy and how it would benefit the coffee shop. And then you could pair that up with like, hey, there are people you can buy your beans from with XMR, like for example, Gratuitous, right?
By the
And
way,
go ahead.
Alaska, we got a super chat from Untrackable with Untraceable on whatever 0.0014 Monero says, "Wow, you need to have Alaska speak at Monerotopia."
That's very flattering. It's like I can only say that that's very flattering. Most people are not interested in hearing me talk, but here I am anyway. So
he basically ran the Q&A last year. You basically became the default, one of the default hosts. So yeah, I'm hoping you do the same this year, man. You help host.
You already know the answer to that, man. I'll do anything for this project. Monerotopia, all of it. I'm 100% down. And I mean, my wife also used to be a barista, and she's going, and my kids are going, and my son is 4 years old and can bench press like 100 pounds, so he could move tables and stuff. Yeah, I think that the circular economy thing, though, with the small business, there's a different version of that everywhere, right? Like, or as an example, like tip your bus driver or whatever. Like that would be interesting too. Like just places where tips are commonly exchanged. You know, a guy can have a QR code for tipping your whatever driver. And that would be another place where you could really get the juices flowing.
I want to start selling my old mining machines for perhaps nodes so people can use them. And well, it's not really for the profit. Would it be really complicated if I have the computers all in Bulgaria? Then the shipping costs, and how would that work? And kudos to xmrbazaar.com, Doug. Thanks.
You could either just maybe like list them for EU, list them for the EU region. That way you don't have to deal with the international shipping costs, I don't think. And if you do, then you just have to what is it? Figure out the weight and everything, and figure out what shipping something of that weight and size internationally would cost. That's why I only do. That's why my stuff is only United States only, because I don't want to deal with international shipping. I know what it costs to ship things here in the U.S., but shipping outside can be kind of a pain in the ass. So that's why I have domestic only.
So slave blocker, I have another thing for you to consider, which is, especially given your location and so on, you know how that I would go and look at some of the places where you can read about this stuff on the darker versions of the internet, just to put it that way. But there would definitely be a market for a person of decent hardware and software skill to set up nodes and miners for these farmers, and then also flash non-proprietary operating systems onto devices and make your skills available to those people in an area where you could have better performance, especially when it comes to the farmers in, you know, the Netherlands and France, or people who are interested in a parallel economy, or people who are getting in trouble for what they have to say about immigration in like the UK or Ireland. There are a lot of people who don't have the technical prowess to be able to exit the system the way that they would like to right now. And you would be the ideal person to help with that.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's more of a time constraint that, but I'm proud to say that I'm gonna cancel my Vivacom account, no, A1 contract, and perhaps I'm going to open a Monero mining pool, pool.xmr.bg in January when I'll be there. So that will be nice.
Yeah, distribute that distribute that hash rate. It's in the subtitle of my name, in fact. Hash rates stop hate, right? It's, or as Crypto Bear would say, every hash rate fucks a bank up. Did you notice how international all of these things are getting, by the way? Like, did you notice how I mean, just today we had the Armenia guys chime in again. You had the French guys jump on, like the Argentinian thing. Have you noticed how like well distributed the Monero economy has become? Honestly, I feel
There
like
seems
it's
to be adoption everywhere. That's really nice. And it's also paradoxically that the objective of Monerotopia is to be, well, to be, I mean, to be really boring thing, you know, to be ubiquitous. So it's not like a niche thing, although we're always striving for the perfect form of money. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that this would probably be a good time for people to start reinvigorating the Monero meetup projects. You know, because obviously organic adoption is taking place, like you said, ubiquitously, right? So maybe this is the time for people who are a little bit more social to start offering Monero meetups in their local area.
Is there like a Monero Town thing or app for that as well? Because I went
know
to
there used to be
meetup.com, but you have to pay and stuff. Yeah. And don't use monerodice.org .pro because you might lose money. But if you play 5 times in a row, you might win. So Monero Dice.
I did talk to Anarchio about a potential feature like that, kind of a meetup feature on XMR Bazaar. Definitely a ticketing feature.
I mean, that's one of the areas where you definitely want more centralization, where you want people to be able to go to one location and find out if there's a meetup in their area, because it's, I mean, having one location to look for all of the Monero meetups would definitely be ideal. Otherwise, I mean, how are they going to find each other? Like, that's one of the problems with using things like Lemmy or whatever, where if you're looking for a way to meet up and you're on like some little, you're relegated to some corner of the internet, right? And XMR Bazaar, I mean, these are people who are using Monero, and it's trying to be international, it makes sense for there to be just one location where you can set like this coffee shop or whatever. We do a Monero meetup every Tuesday or whatever.
Hey, Doug.
Meetups for Monero are also good in the way of if people are working that don't have a syndicate that protects the workers, and perhaps I'm also affected by this, that in Germany, there are companies where you work for them where you are not protected by a syndicate. So people can use that Monero meetup to talk about the rights and privileges of the people that contribute value in the society, and then spread the word of Monero. And yeah, a meetup feature would be really nice.
Hey, Doug, I've sort of brought up this idea. You were just talking about the map feature, and it was in the episode. I didn't catch the whole thing, but it sounds like someone forked BTC maps, which is awesome. I would suggest on XMR Bazaar that you add a option for merchants who also accept and or goldbacks, and then poach all the businesses off of the goldback site and just automatically add them to your site. Because the goldback site only allows businesses to add their business if they're in one of the 5 states where they've released goldbacks. But if you were in Colorado or Oregon or Louisiana or Florida or whatever, and you want to add your business, there's no option on the goldback site, but you could go to
I love this. Yeah, we could just add it as an additional layer on the map.
Yeah, and that kind of funnels sound money, people who already get the concepts, into, hey, this is a really handy, cool map, and what's this XMR Bazaar thing, and what's Monero?
Drunk Dial Me, I have a question for you. It's kind of a hard question to ask, but so I have no doubt that you've seen like the never-ending infighting within like the crypto community or the Libertarian Party or whatever. Like it's just this never-ending, I don't know what you'd call it, but basically, you know, that idea of like the fighting of people with small differences as opposed to rallying against, like, you know, just for the fundamental functions of their ideology, right? It's like libertarians and anarchists are always fighting with each other, but like they spend more time on that than like actually trying to stop the real tyrants, sort of deal.
Yeah.
But have you noticed, I can't think of anybody who's like a goldback guy that doesn't love the Monero community and vice versa. I don't think I've ever even seen any flaming between the two at all. And the other thing is have you ever noticed how people who are like really deeply entrenched in one are super strong advocates for the other anyway, right? Like Goldbacks comes up on XMR or on Monerotopia like every single week. I'm a strong advocate. In fact, I would love to dive into the ocean where I lost all my goldbacks in a boating accident, because I would love to get them back. But the thing is like the overlap is one thing, but the lack of infighting is very interesting to me, because I would love to understand why this one, like this
the
one
first
area
XMR Bazaar trade was using Monero to purchase goldbacks.
Yeah, like, and so what do you think about this? Because I know you've seen, especially like within the libertarian communities, it's just never ends. Like everybody hates everybody else, and everybody is not a real libertarian or not a real, you know, whatever. And didn't you know, if you don't think exactly like I do, we can't be friends, sort of deal, versus like the way that the Goldback and XMR thing are like, I mean, they're like Siamese twins, you know?
Yeah, I think if people are into goldbacks and they know what Monero is, they love it because they understand. I think goldback people and Monero people are very similar in that they're sound money maximalists, not like one particular type of money maximalist. Like the Bitcoin community has poised themselves as the replacement for gold, which is just ridiculous. And they kind of made enemies out of the old gold bugs. Whereas we're like, these are natural allies. If they're strong trading pairs, all of a sudden you can wire 2 tons of gold the other side of the planet. No one knows about it in under 2 seconds for under a penny if it's a strong trading pair. So a good example of that is New Hampshire, the Free State Project. Like I don't think there's a cryptocurrency out there that has more adoption than Goldbacks themselves and their little parallel economy they've got going on there. And I'd say Monero is probably at least in the top 2, maybe 3 cryptos in exchange.
I mean, a Goldback is basically the physical version of Monero, right? So Bitcoin is digital gold, Monero is digital Goldback.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
What's going on? I don't know what link that was from Yada coin or what, but what is your opinion upon like, I guess in the beginning there were lots of people mining Bitcoin and it was a huge frenzy. Do you think it's more of a diluted thing nowadays that people that use XMR think, oh, it's not so important, or how do you see it?
You mean mining is not so important?
Well, that it's sort of taken for granted and it's not such a frenzy. I mean, it's a huge property that, like Cypher Bliss was mentioning it the other time, there are lots of properties and it's great that he listed them all. And the property of privacy is a huge one. After that battle is won, the properties there are like then diminishing in advantages that will come. So it's a huge, it should also be a huge gold rush this time, right?
Well, so here's I think I just did a really bad job saying the XMR thing at the beginning of when I was talking about some of the news, and like I've noticed that as you're asking the questions that like I did a terrible job expressing what I was trying to do about the XMR or XM rig thing. But here's what I would tell you. So so myself, whenever I try to get a Monero miner going, like let's say 3 years ago, okay, even at my level of involvement in trying to do this stuff and trying to, you know, do my thing, there's always some reason why it doesn't just work, right?
But that's the beautiful part of
yeah.
it, man. There's always something.
Well,
Always
the thing
something.
is like it reminds me of Linux. When I was first using Linux, it was always something, bro. It was always a pain in the ass somewhere. And at this point, I can give a USB stick to any complete nub, right? And as long as it's one of the more just works operating systems, like I can give them 3 basic instructions and all of the rest is easy to do and they're up and running. And it's like, I mean, Linux Mint, in my opinion, is actually way easier to use than either Mac OS or whatever they call it now, or Windows, or what. It's better. It's so much better, right? Like,
Well, it
and
varies. If you're just one user that wants to mine with one machine, that's one thing.
yeah,
If you
and
are
that's
buying
kind of what I
motherboards
was
that were,
getting at, is like, not only has it become easier, but honestly, like with the changes that they made to like the Unix interface and the API stuff and all of that, they made a huge leap forward in people with very little technical prowess to be able to just use the additional computing resources that they have available to start mining Monero. And the other thing is the fixes that they've made, they'll feel small to the user. But from what I can tell, it is a bedrock for them to build on that is going to make it just unbelievably easy as they continue this motion toward making everything easier. And when I was talking about like when you're trying to proxy, right? I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even,
yeah.
I don't think I even mentioned the word
Well,
proxy.
sorry. The
That's
thing
what
is
I'm
that
getting at. But like,
there were always the binary executables that the users from XMRig could download. But then there's a caveat. You are going to mine 1 minute out of the 60 minutes. You are going to donate to them. So it varies. If you are buying
well,
motherboards
the
and
thing is that's fine, but you have to realize, like, people who would like to mine Monero, who would like to contribute to the cause, for one, most of them will mine at a loss because they just want to help,
of
right?
course,
But it was so out of reach for like a typical person like they just did not have the time or patience to invest in trying to use the software as intended, right? And you had GUI packs, which was like, I mean, GUI packs is like, there was a point where GUI packs was so much easier to use than XMRig.
Is it GNU
I
packs
wasn't
or
even
GUI
talking
packs?
about XMRig. I was just telling people about trying to learn GUI packs, but even that, they were just like, what am I even looking at? And it looks like an alien language to these people. Like they don't know what any of these buzzwords that you hear in the crypto space even mean. Like they have no idea what like the difference between a mini pool or any other kind of pool are. They have no idea what it means to proxy host. They don't. This is all gibberish to them. And the changes that were just made, it doesn't fix it all yet, but it is my belief that they have actually finally charted a course to grandpa with his overkill computer finally being able to fire off a rig.
Oops. What was that, man?
What's going on? You guys are going off the rails here.
No, it's just warning us that the price of Monero probably just went up. Let's find out. What's the price?
We have an emergency price report. This just in, guys.
Bawdy, get on quickly.
Yeah, sorry. I clicked the wrong button again with this whole like trying to zoom and pan. My bad.
No, it did go up. Look,
this is just to show that there's always something. There's always something, and that's great to hear that a grandpa can mine Monero, and well, the complexity will come. Like if he buys more motherboards and starts making his own closet just to put machines in there, there will always be something. But when you're mining for gold, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And you know that's really the underlying all of it is like somebody over there at that, you know, working on that software is charting a path toward a realistic permanent solution for further decentralization of the blockchain. And that is 180 degrees different from everything happening in Bitcoin right now. And whereas, you know, Bitcoin has the dead hype train, Monero has people just smashing their keyboards day after day, making the software better. And what better place to strike than the further improvements to privacy that is kind of big news in Monero, right? With, membership proofs and decentralizing the mining algorithms even further. More people mining on more CPUs in more locations. And then if we can really push this Nodo idea to catch on, right? That is like the other side of all of this. So if you have more nodes in more locations, more people dedicating more separate CPUs, because it's not just enough to have a bunch of people mining in like a bunch of CPUs in one house. You need 10 times as many people dedicating just a core at their house, you know, all separated from each other in different jurisdictions. And like, that's the real goal, isn't it? And that's what we've seen in the last month is like,
I'm gonna start heating an apartment with mining machines. I don't care. I'm gonna run liquid through them and go into resistance, and yeah.
I'll tell you this, bro. Like the heat that you get out of heating your house with Monero, it kind of reminds me of a fireplace, right? Where it has this effect of like keeping the moisture down, and like I don't know, it just feels really good. Like it's of all the ways to heat your house, I'd say like fireplace.
Have you ever heated your house with mining Monero?
Allegedly. There are people who might make that claim, and they might be right. But I don't have any Monero, so I don't know what to tell you. But yes, I have. It works really good. And I actually started with just I started with just having a higher temperature for the cribs for my children. right? Because it's actually a super safe way to increase the heat just in a little area. And so instead of using like a dangerous space heater like next to a crib, I was just using processors underneath a crib. And it not only does it heat the mattress, but it also kind of wraps around. Like I was looking at it with a thermal camera. I keep a couple of like Cat S61s and S62s in case I need an extra Monero wallet that I also need a thermal camera on the same device, which happens more than you'd think. You could actually see like this little heat bubble forming around the crib that would keep the ambient temperature like 2 or 3 degrees higher. And the kids slept better. And then it also has the added effect of if you crank up the if you undervolt it and crank up the
with no noise. Did you do it with liquid or with fans?
That's the thing. At first I thought no noise would be better, but the thing is children sleep better with just the faintest amount of consistent white noise. So I actually messed with it a little bit to make the fans create a little bit of white noise for the kids too. And then since there's a little tiny like baby mattress separating them from the direct noise, it creates like this indirect room filling ambient noise that keeps the baby sleeping sound longer. And so in other words, you're a bad parent unless you're mining Monero, is I guess the case that I'm trying to make. Right?
I will be implementing it.
But it's a white noise generator. It allows you to control the temperature of the room better. And then not only that, but you're going to pay for that energy one way or another anyway. So why not mine with XMRig and donate 100% of all of the gains to Doug's coffee fund? Okay. And so, or whatever, you know, like the Monero General Fund is a good one, or, you know, the Magic Monero Fund. I don't know if they accept Monero. I'm sure they do, but like, I mean, you could just donate it all, and because that's the one thing about if you're going to mine Monero, you don't want to use that also as your wallet, right? But you can just like donate it to whatever, you know, and just have it sitting there running, keeping your baby happy. It works really good. And in a place like Alaska, there's 7 months out of the year where you are doing a great service to energy usage just generally. And then you can also have it set up for like a backup generator situation where if the power goes out, you have ambient heat. Analog Monero. I love that. So Untraceable says goldbacks are basically analog Monero. That's like exactly what it is. The overlap is incredible too. Like each one is good at what the other is not good at, you know. We also have another one. Hey Douglas, XMR Bazaar feature suggestion. Add local markets, areas, communities, and marketplaces. Just like listings, businesses, each local market listing can have its area on map, as well as buyers and sellers that joined the local market listing. So I think it's basically one of those websites that'll tell you where farmers markets are in your community, kind of like the same idea with local markets. Which is a good idea, especially since they're all seasonal and they need as much help advertising as possible. So that is a very good suggestion, Bazarian, at a tip of 0.0014
I like it.
for Monero. And it don't hurt to, I know some of us don't like to crawl out of our hidey holes and shells, but it really doesn't hurt to show up to these events with a couple of printed pamphlets about the benefits of Monero. There are many available on GitHub. The work has been done for you. You could support your local print shop and ask them if they'll be paid in Monero while you're at it. And then you could hand out these pamphlets to everybody who's actively trying to do local farmers market type stuff. And they're a very receptive audience to begin with. And then you don't have to start the conversation, but if they ask you questions, it's a great way to start or for them to start the conversation. Or we just start a general fund for flying Doug from farmer's market to farmer's market, and then pay for Sunita's massage because she'll need it because of how stressful it is to follow Doug around all day talking about Monero. I don't know. But it's like, that would be another way. We could crowdsource.
That's got my vote.
Yes, we could crowdsource Doug ranting about Monero.
Please do.
There were a lot of really good. By the way, I'm not trying to hog the airtime. I would love it if somebody else would talk. I don't want there to be dead air.
Yeah. Otherwise, we can go ahead and end the stream, I think. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good topic what he's talking about. So, yeah, try to sell Bilogic stuff. I think grocery is a good one, yeah. I mean, I'm looking for products as well around this country to see what is special. And then it's also good for the image to connect a good image for Monero, not only dark web stuff, but also the grocery stuff, the basic stuff we need actually.
Yes, please do that, because that's exactly why I'm selling soap and coffee grinders and things like that for Monero, because we need these basic essentials that like every household needs. Silverware, like unless you're gonna be a barbarian and eat with your hands, you either need silverware or chopsticks. Unless you're gonna be a barbarian, you probably want to bathe. Otherwise, you're not going to get a significant other if you want one, or a job or whatever, because people are going to be like, you stink, go away. That's why we need these basic services. So please put up these basic things and compete with me. I don't want to be the only one selling these things. I want other people to compete with me on prices or whatever. Please do.
Yeah, and the more people doing it, the more you're growing the market just generally.
Yeah, I can remember a long time. Man was up to he's owning a farm and he's farming oil, and it calls argan oil. I love to see him coming back one day and see how he's going. And I mean, so every country has its special own things, yeah, Balagic things. Like the Netherlands have cheese. So everybody have to look his own special thing, yeah, and promote with it. Connect the image to Monero.
All right, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, because we don't want dead air, and so I need to go. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It was a great show, you guys. Absolutely fantastic show. Please join us again next Saturday at 11 a.m. And we'll go ahead and play the outro, and we'll get you guys back to your families. How's that sound?
Buy a Noto. See you at Monerotopia.
Yes, do those things. Buy a Noto. That would be a great thing. All right.
Aye, aye.
See you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.
In stream, yes.